All right, what's up, Vegas? Happy Monday, everybody. Back at you. It's the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Yeah, thanks for joining us. And a lot to get to today, a lot to go over. We're going to get to this Colin Kaepernick stuff because it's driving me freaking nuts. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Coming up in hour number 2, Seth Moulton, Massachusetts congressman. He'll give us the latest on his thoughts on the impeachment inquiry. What's going down there? We got a radio host that was fired over the weekend for bashing Donald Trump. No, and it's not me. We'll talk about it coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 3, UNLV football. What a disaster. UNLV basketball tonight. We'll get to their game over the weekend, of course, against UCLA. And Jameson Welsh from Drive Time Sports will be joining us, talk a little NBA hoops. A really nice scene in L.A. yesterday at the Lakers game as Kobe Bryant showed up, and he had a moment with LeBron James, Dwight Howard. It was pretty cool, so we'll talk about that. Coming up in hour number 3, it is Monday, and that means our friend Chris Wynn joining us in studio. Chris, how's it going?
It's going good, Brian. Good to see you. Had a fun weekend.
Yeah, we'll get to that here. Let's talk a little about that. Of course, let's talk about me first because I'm Mr. Selfish. But, no, I had a really fun weekend. Started off, we had Marlon Wayans on the show last week,
yes.
So I went to his show Friday night at the Mirage. It was a lot of fun. It's a good time. I'm not going to say he is my favorite stand-up comedian, but he did give us some laughs. He was good. He was fun. So that was a cool way to start off the weekend. And then on Saturday, had a chance to catch Fleetwood Mac. So I had a date, and we went to the T-Mobile Arena for the show. Our seats were way in back. And I don't mean way in back like second level. We actually had floor seats. But they were way in back, right? So you could say to yourself, well, lower section seats anywhere else might have been better. They were good seats, but they were way in back. And they were like $250 a pop, too. They weren't cheap. So I said to her, why don't we just walk around and see if there's any seats in front? Now, if you looked on StubHub or, some of these seats like first, second, third row were going for $5,000 each. It's Fleetwood Mac, right?
And it's Vegas.
Yeah. So I find these seats. This was about 10 minutes before the show starts. I find these seats, third row, like the whole row is empty. I'm like, oh, holy crap, I got to get in here. So I made it look like we were sitting there. Every other seat in that row was taken for the show, except for our seats. We got to sit there third row. Now, listen, I'm not like a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. They're unbelievable musicians. They're legends, obviously, and it was a fantastic show. So I kind of felt a little guilty. I'm like, I'm thinking maybe like a real hardcore Fleetwood Mac fan should be sitting here. The average age was about 75.5, so I felt like I was at a convalescent home.
It is before your time, though, Brian. They're not exactly 90s rock. Yeah. That's which is your lane.
It was one of those concerts where if you stand up, some old person behind you will say, "Sit down, sit down." I'm like, are you kidding me? But anyway, it was a great time. It was a lot of fun. Just to be able to see a band like that perform that's legendary was a cool experience for me, and to be a few feet away from the stage made it even better. So that was really cool. Now let's get to yesterday. Yesterday I decided to have a very lazy day. I was thinking about playing golf because the weather was... When you're too lazy to play golf, it's the ultimate of laziness. So I went to your house, Chris, and I got to say, man, I have never seen you as angry...
I was irate.
...as you were last night.
I was livid.
Because
I'm not going to lie.
You are an avid sports bettor.
Absolutely.
And I've seen you lose some games and you get a little upset. But it started with a basketball game that you bet on, and then it was an NHL game. So I just want you to share the stories with us real quick.
Well, let me get into the short version of it, okay?
Yeah.
So obviously, like many Las Vegans out there, it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. You got the early NFL games. And I'm someone who partakes in the parlay action. And look, there's a lot of sports handicappers out there, and people will say, parlay, stay away from them. Don't do it. Okay, but I like to dabble in it. It's not big money. It's just it's chump change. You're throwing on 2 and 3 team parlays. So basically, I started the day off hitting 2 out of 3 on parlays, which is not ideal. Obviously,
and the last
you're losing
game being a basketball game.
No,
Yep.
So then moving forward, now we're getting to the 1 o'clock games. Okay, so here being on the West Coast, obviously the games start at 10 o'clock. So you have the early games, and then you got the late games. Late games start at 1 here. So I had a parlay that went down where I actually bet an NFL game, won the NFL game. And it was a 2-team parlay, which I parlayed with the Orlando Magic and the Washington Wizards. Now, look, the 2 teams, I get it, our listeners, they don't really care. But it was just the whole way it went down as far as a loss. That is good radio, Brian, and it's this, okay? The Orlando Magic easily covering late into the basketball game. Somehow, some way, the Washington Wizards find a way to just knock down every three-pointer in the final 2 minutes of the game. And it goes back and forth where the Magic were comfortably covering throughout most of the game. And then at the end of the game, they're up. They're covering, I think it was by a point, right? They're covering by a point. And the Washington Wizards proceed to go down and hit another three-pointer with about 5 seconds left in the game. Now, you figure, an NBA team, you're going down there, you accomplished your goal of actually making, scoring the most points you could in that short period of time right there to get to where you're down by 4 points.
Hold on. Is this a short version of the story?
It is a short version.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So anyway, so make a long story short, make a long story longer, okay? They go down, they hit a three, and to cover. So you would think that they would foul. They didn't do it. They didn't foul. They just let the Orlando Magic dribble it out the final 5 minutes, and I end up losing by 2 points on my two-teamer.
So you're already in a really
So I'm
bad
already
mood.
irate, okay? So fast forward. Let's fast forward to the Vegas Golden Knights game, okay? Again, I have another two-teamer. I don't remember what I don't want to get you bored with the details as far as what the other half of the parlay was. But I end up winning it.
Yeah.
It was an NFL game. Win the NFL game, which was the which was the first part of the.
Yeah.
So we get to the Vegas Golden Knights game. The Golden Knights are up 2-0 in the third period. All right, this is where I really went off, right, Brian? This is where I really
lost your mind,
just absolutely popped off. I could not. I was actually, there was steam coming off the top of my head. That's how irate I was. Somehow, some way, the Calgary Flames find a way to allow the Vegas Golden Knights to score 4 goals. I want to say in the last 7 minutes of that hockey game. Okay, once it was 3-0, I said, Brian and I were sitting there. We're like, okay, it's 3-0. This game is in control. Yep. I would expect the Calgary Flames to find a way to keep the Vegas Golden Knights out of scoring.
Let me just explain.
Not the case.
Let me just explain from here. Okay, so you have the under 6.
Exactly.
Every goal that is being scored in the last 6 or 7 minutes, you're losing your mind.
Yes. And listeners, on top of that, I have Brian Shapiro in my ear saying, "You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be all right." It was the kiss of death, and I just looked over at him with a death stare, and I'm like, "Did you really just say that?" And so, yeah, somehow I find a way to have the Calgary Flames, and then I think William Karlsson was it the last goal where William Karlsson goes down the ice. It is the weakest backhand in NHL history.
So long story short,
that ends up going in to the back of the net. Yes. They scored the 6th goal to actually push it.
So long story short, what happened
was
here
bad.
It
was really bad.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you were at a 10. I thought I was going to get hurt. Anyway, my condolences to those bad beats. And yes, that was probably the angriest I've ever seen you, and I've known you for a long time. All right, so here's what I want to do next. Speaking of angry, Chris, Colin Kaepernick had a workout over the weekend. We talked about this on Friday. I cannot believe the shirt he wore, and I cannot believe the antics that took place leading up to it. I'll explain what that means and why many African Americans that supported Colin Kaepernick are off that bandwagon and they are not supporting him now. I'll explain why coming up next. You are listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simply used, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pod sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Are you taking Cialis or Viagra? Marley Drug has generics of both for just $12 per tablet. That's a savings of $60 per dose. Marley Drug is an independent pharmacy delivering generic Cialis and Viagra to your door for $12 per tablet. Call Marley Drug at 800-870-4787. That's 800-870-4787. Again, 800-870-4787.
Hey, Greg, I'm so sorry to hear about your brother's heart attack.
Thanks. He's okay now, but it really got me thinking about my family. Could my wife still pay our mortgage if I had a heart problem? Or could my kids still go to college?
Man, that is really scary. Yeah, you should call my life insurance agent at Health IQ. When I got life insurance for my family last year, they saved me 41% versus any other company I looked at.
41%? That's huge.
Yep. Health IQ starts by shopping everyone with the top 30 life insurance carriers to make sure they can get the lowest retail rate. Then they apply their exclusive Healthy Lifestyle Savings, which can save you up to 41%. I literally got $1 million in coverage for my family for just $36 a month.
Just $36 a month?
Yep. You should check it out at healthiq.com/easy.
To save that much money, I'm going to call them right now. What's that link again? healthiq.com/easy?
Yep. healthiq.com/easy.
Parents, you always say you want what's best for your children. If that's the case, then you should be bringing your kid to Infinity, the Math Institute, where every student earns an A or B in math. Our results are proven and they are amazing. The best tutoring service for the best price, whether online or in person, small group or one-on-one. You cannot get better results. Great grades will come when your child truly understands the math. From elementary math to calculus, we have the best tutors, the best materials, and the best results. Now offering free parent seminars on how to better help your child, what is Common Core, and more. Find out why parents are bragging and students are enjoying school again by calling 702-768-1777. That's 702-768-1777 or visit themathinstitute.com today. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you, because at Infinity, you don't get more math problems, you get solutions.
The jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. So if you're a middle school student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. A public service message from America's Navy.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
They were like death and un-American. Somebody said treasonous. I mean, yeah, I guess why not?
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro coming at you on a Monday. Chris Wynn joining us as well. So glad you could join us. By the way, Seth Moulton, if you want to hear the latest on opinions of a congressman from Massachusetts who happens to be a war hero, he's going to be joining us, and a former presidential candidate as well, will be joining us in hour number 2. So as we mentioned last week, Colin Kaepernick had this workout that was set up. And look, I've said all along I'm not a Colin Kaepernick guy. I've questioned him. I've questioned the timing of why he took a knee. I've questioned for months that I thought he hasn't done enough. If he really cared about the problem of police brutality and the way police treat minorities, I don't think he's done enough to solve the problem. I don't think taking a knee and donating money to charity is going to solve the problem. I've questioned him, and I've also said I don't think he's serious about getting back into the NFL because, quite frankly, he's profiting and making more money off the field. A lot of people have criticized me for those comments. Well, guess what? He made me look pretty good over the weekend because many of those that have supported him have now stopped. Let me explain. So he has this workout at this, or at least he was supposed to, at the facility where the Atlanta Falcons train. And 25 members, scouts, from 25 different NFL teams showed up to this thing. So what does Colin Kaepernick decide to do? He decides to switch venues. Several hours before this workout, and he goes to a high school. And the reason why he said he did that, 2 reasons, because he wanted the media there, because now all of a sudden he cares about the media, even though for the last year or two he's done literally no interviews with the media. Now all of a sudden he cares about the media. That's number one. And number 2, something in the NFL contract, in the liability contract, he had an issue with, which is nonsense. So that's a joke. This is a PR stunt. And if he was truly serious about playing in the NFL, this would not have happened. So let me just start there. This is the thing that really gets my blood boiling, and I know there's plenty of African Americans out there that agree with me on this one. He decides to wear a Kunta Kinte shirt, okay? Roots to slavery. Let me be very clear with everybody. Colin Kaepernick has never been a slave. Has Colin Kaepernick possibly been the victim of racism? Sure, I'll buy that, absolutely. Colin Kaepernick, though, got a free ride at University of Nevada because of his football talents. He got a free education. Colin Kaepernick was an NFL player for plenty of years as a Super Bowl quarterback. He made millions of dollars. Colin Kaepernick is now making millions of dollars off the football field for taking a knee. Colin Kaepernick is a slave? Has Colin Kaepernick ever been whipped before or forced to do anything? Not that I know of. What I know about Colin Kaepernick is that he is a fraud. And the fact that he would wear a shirt like this, making a slavery reference. Imagine walking into a job office or walking into a job interview, because make no mistake about it, that's exactly what this thing was supposed to be over the weekend for Colin Kaepernick. It was supposed to be a job interview. And you wear a shirt like this one, a Kunta Kinte shirt, what would happen? You think you'd be hired? And I don't care if the boss that's interviewing you is black or white. Do you think they would hire you? Somebody, of course not. And it leads me to two realizations, I guess you could say. Number one, as I said earlier, Colin Kaepernick does not want to go back into the NFL because he knows it's going to hurt his bottom line. He wants to be a martyr, so to speak. He wants to be in the public eye. He wants to remain in the public eye. So make no mistake about it. This was a PR stunt. There is no part of Colin Kaepernick, in my opinion, that would show me, based on his actions and behavior, that he wants back into the NFL. So that's number one. He's a liar and he's a fraud. And you're damn right, I'm going to question him kneeling in the first place now because of this behavior. For those of you out there that are going to say, oh, you know what? I think he really cares about this issue. He really cares about police brutality. Then what good are you doing by wearing a shirt like that? You are hurting the cause, just like you hurt the cause when you wear a Fidel Castro shirt, just like you hurt the cause when you wear socks depicting all police officers as pigs. You are hurting the cause, and people aren't going to take you seriously. And right now, moving forward, nobody should take you seriously, Colin Kaepernick. So that's number one. Number two, he is an ignoramus. He is a dummy. How dumb are you, Colin Kaepernick, to wear a shirt like that? What were you thinking? And don't you give me this excuse or nonsense that there were people that were, on your team that told you to wear the shirt. You are your own man. You are an adult, and you wore that shirt. You are a dummy. And I've said it all along. This is a man that has a very low IQ. I've interviewed him before when he was in college, and I said, wow, that guy really struggles. This guy is not very educated. Okay, so that's how I feel about this. But Chris, I know you're chomping at the bit, so I'll get to you in a second here, but I want to play a little bit of audio first. Let's start with Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith is one of Colin Kaepernick's biggest supporters. He's always been one of Colin Kaepernick's, biggest supporters, Stephen A. Smith. He's a nationally syndicated show, so a lot of people respect his opinion, and he's very opinionated. Well, even Stephen A. Smith turned on Colin Kaepernick. He went on social media immediately. I'm just going to play you a little small clip of what he had to say. Here's Stephen A.
You don't want to work. You just want to make noise, and you want to control the narrative. It's over. Colin Kaepernick's aspiration in the NFL for an NFL career. It's over. Talk to y'all Monday on First Take.
And he's talking a lot about it this morning as well. So that's Stephen A. Now, you've had a really bad day, and you did something really wrong when the double murderer himself, O.J. Simpson, is talking crap about you. Yeah, even O.J. put up a clip on Twitter. Here's what O.J. Simpson had to say in his latest tweet about Colin Kaepernick.
Hello, Twitter world, yours truly. Before I talk about football, I'll do that later today. Let's talk about a couple of things that happened yesterday. One, Colin Kaepernick. I was encouraged when I heard he was going to get this tryout. I figured he could get back in the league, but don't feel that way today. When you're being interviewed for a job or getting a job tryout, you don't come out swinging, and you do it on the employer's terms, not on your terms. Seemed a little angry yesterday. Today, I'm not encouraged.
All right, so that was OJ's comments in regards to Colin Kaepernick. I think this guy is a true fraud. If any thoughts in my mind that he actually cared about this issue, his actions and behaviors speak otherwise. He really made himself look like a complete fool over the weekend. Not only do I believe now that he doesn't deserve to be back into the NFL because of his behavior, not because of his talents. Not only do I think the media should stop caring about him and stop talking about him. I think he is an absolute fraud. He is a liar, and he wouldn't take any questions from the media, even though he switched properties, claiming that was the reason why he did this at a high school. He wouldn't take questions from the media. He just went on an angry minute-and-a-half rant. And what owner? Explain to me what owner of it. I hope nobody signs him, by the way. What owner out of an NFL team is going to take a shot with this guy wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt? Chris, go ahead.
So Brian is extremely angry campaign.
Because he's a jackass.
And Brian is, you're using words like fraud.
He's
and
a fraud.
He's a liar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, look, there's so much to chew on in what you just discussed there for the last 5 minutes. I think there's a couple things here. let me start off by saying this. I've been someone who has been supportive of Colin Kaepernick, no question. Okay? I want to start out by saying that I thought it was absolutely foolish of him to sport that T-shirt yesterday in what was, by all intents and purposes, a job interview to get back in the NFL. I thought that was bad. I also thought it was bad when he wore the socks depicting police officers and cops as pigs. I also thought it was bad when he wore a T-shirt with a murderous dictator from Cuba in Fidel Castro on his body as well, too, back then. That being said, there's a couple things we need to separate here, all right? And when you're making sweeping statements like he's a fraud and that he is a liar, all right, you're directing that towards what his intentions are now as far as getting into the NFL. And I would agree with that when it comes to him wanting to get back playing football. It appears now, at this point, that Colin Kaepernick, that's not his main intention. It appears now that he is about attention for himself and about, and about bringing pity on himself. But in my opinion, that does not change the original intent of bringing a spotlight on social injustice and law enforcement back then, okay? And it doesn't change the fact that...
Have you ever heard of the word credibility?
Absolutely.
This man has zero credibility.
You're gonna chime in and just not let me finish.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about the reasoning behind why he was not able to get a job in the NFL back then. Okay, I'm not talking about this.
How about because
he's
an
sham
idiot?
Of a workout? It was a sham of a workout. Okay,
he's a
this
sham
last
of a
Saturday
person.
Was ridiculous.
He's
the circumstances that went down was ridiculous. Okay, you don't change the workout. What? By the way, what OJ said in the extended part of what he talked about was actually true about Colin Kaepernick. As far as like, it doesn't look like he wants to play in the NFL. Stephen A. Smith, exactly the same as well too. It looks like Colin Kaepernick's intentions are not to play football.
That's what you call fraud.
That doesn't have anything to do with whether or not social injustice is something that we. Okay, wait. So you're telling. So Brian, are you trying to tell me that there's no credibility in the actual fact that there's social injustice in law enforcement and that it's an actual issue?
Right.
Because let me tell you something. It's not just Colin Kaepernick that feels that way.
I understand.
There's a number of NFL players around the league.
Okay, let me respond to what you just said.
That's my whole point, though.
Okay,
you do have to separate the two.
Okay, here's what I am saying here. Obviously, there are injustices in our society with racism and in some specific circumstances, the way law enforcement treat minorities.
And there was legitimacy to bringing that spotlight on that.
Okay, hold on. I have never doubted that, and I'm not one of those people that would doubt that. My point that I have made all along about Colin Kaepernick is that he's a fraud for this reason. First of all, I question the timing of when he decided to take a knee, number one. Also, what has he done to fix this problem? What are his solutions? Besides attacking police officers and wearing the pig socks, besides taking a knee in games, he hasn't gone to Washington and spoke to law enforcement. He hasn't done that. He hasn't spoke to law enforcement. He hasn't spoke to politicians. He hasn't done hardly anything to actually work on trying to solve the problem. And if you're one of those people out there that doesn't think that there were issues between minorities and law enforcement, then you're very complicit. So taking a knee, I don't understand what that does. Some racist in Alabama, oh, wow, Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Maybe he's right. Maybe there are issues between law enforcement. No, that's not the way it works. Either you believe there are issues or you don't think there are. Just raising the issue doesn't get anything done. And the fact that, and I go by his behavior by calling him a liar and a fraud, and we got to take a break. We got to take a break. When we come back, we will take your phone calls on this. I believe that Colin Kaepernick is a fraud. I believe that he is a liar. I don't believe he deserves a shot now back in the NFL after wearing this Kunta Kinte shirt, okay, in regards to slavery. So I ask this question to you callers out there. Do you believe now that Colin Kaepernick deserves another shot in the NFL after what happened? The number to call, 257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the conversation, give us a call right now. What do you think about this Colin Kaepernick situation, wearing a shirt, a slavery shirt, basically?
Well, it's a loaded question, though. Okay, I know we're going to a break real quickly, but you say seconds. Deserves. I mean, that's a wrong way to put it.
Well, that's the way I'm going to put it to our callers.
It's a terrible way to put it,
257-5396. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. This is the Vegas Take.
A shooting at a Walmart this morning in Duncan, Oklahoma, about an hour's drive southwest of Oklahoma City. Police Chief Danny Ford says the shooting took place outside the store and that the gunman is among the 3 dead. The 2 victims, a man and a woman, were in a vehicle when they were fatally shot. The 3rd person dead, the gunman, was found in the parking lot. A football watching party turned violent in Fresno, California last night. 4 people were killed when unknown suspects sneaked into a backyard that was filled with people and fired into the crowd. At least 6 other people were wounded in the attack. The House of Representatives is probing whether President Trump lied in his written testimony submitted to then U.S. Special Counsel Robert Mueller as part of the now completed federal investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 elections. The president says he is now strongly considering testifying before the impeachment inquiry. The Dow down 3. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Doctor-Patient Unity. A crash reported on Summerlin Parkway eastbound at the 95. It's blocking the left lane. Expect slow and go from Buffalo Drive. Also an accident reported I-15 northbound at the Spaghetti Bowl. And one more, it's a crash 95 southbound at Jones Boulevard. Vehicles off left. As surprise medical bills bankrupt Americans, Jackie Rosen stands with doctors to remove patients from billing disputes. She demands insurance companies pay their fair share in opposing their rate-setting proposal to cover less medical care. Tell Jackie Rosen thank you and keep fighting. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Hey, have you heard that ransomware attacks have increased by 500% this year?
Yeah, cybercriminals are targeting all types of businesses, encrypting their data and holding it hostage unless they pay up.
What if we're their next victim?
Don't worry, we have Barracuda to detect, prevent, and recover from ransomware and other advanced threats.
So we're secured?
Absolutely. We'll pay no ransom and keep this business up and running.
That's a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
You don't want to work. You just want to make noise.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Obviously, we're discussing, myself and C. Wynn, discussing Colin Kaepernick, the situation over the weekend where he wears a Kunta Kinte shirt. I don't know how anybody could defend that, and I haven't heard anybody defend it, by the way, unless you're a complete buffoon. You're not going to defend wearing a shirt like that to a job interview. He is an absolute moron as far as I'm concerned, and he's not very intelligent. I would love to know what he got on his SATs. Well, he was a star football player in high school. Maybe he cheated. I don't know. But anyway, we're taking some of your phone calls, 257-5396.
Well, if you're calling him a moron, by definition, he wouldn't be very intelligent. So that was a double slam on your part.
That is very true.
And just quickly to clarify, when I mentioned, I said that, you're using words like, do you deserve to get back in the NFL, Brian? What I was trying to say is that, look, it's not about him deserving a chance. It's whether, I guess.
Now it is.
No, because the question should be, are NFL teams take a chance on him?
Chris, if you show up to a
it's not deserve, though. Deserve would say that he's a criminal. Deserve would get, you are insinuating.
All right, I get your point, Chris.
That he's done something illegal or something, or for some reason he should not be allowed to play. That when you're saying deserve,
I get your point.
You don't think he should be allowed to be on the field.
If Colin showed up to a job interview, or anybody for that matter, with a boss for an office job, and he wore a Kunta Kinte shirt, I would say that guy doesn't deserve to be hired. There's no different here. That is the point I'm trying to make. It is inappropriate and horrendous judgment to wear a shirt like that to a job interview. I don't know what point you don't get. What do you not understand about that?
I hear what you're saying.
He doesn't deserve another shot.
I think you're being a little. There's a little full outrage on your part here.
No, it's not.
A t-shirt.
This was complete. No, it's not. This was premeditated. He didn't just find a shirt in his closet that was clean. Okay, like I do every day.
Look, I agree that it was bad judgment on his part. I don't know why you're attacking me as if I'm
then he doesn't deserve it. Well,
I'm
sorry. Okay, let's take some calls. 257-5396 is the number to call.
You're making the extension that you're making that stretch that he doesn't deserve to be a player. I'm saying that.
Well, let's take some phone calls. Let me give out that number again. 702-257-5396. What do you think? Do you disagree? Do you agree with me? What do you think about Colin Kaepernick? Let's go to Bill. Bill, you're first up on the Vegas Take. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Good morning. How's everything today?
Good, Bill. What do you think about this?
Okay, if you're going to go to an interview, you have to play the part. If he wore his college shirt or a football shirt or just a shirt with numbers on it, that's fine.
Sure.
To wear something like that on an interview, because that's exactly what it is, I'm going to have to agree with you on this one, because who in the right mind is going to go into an interview? Like, if I was going to interview for your station, am I coming in a ripped jeans, shorts, or a ripped shirt? No, I'm going to dress in a nice shirt, nice pants, nice shoes.
Of course.
Okay? And for him to change the venue, we all know why the venue was changed. He didn't want to sign the, which I, from what I understand, when you go for any open interviews or any practices or something like that, if you hurt yourself, you can't sue the NFL.
Right.
And that's...
He wanted to do everything on his terms. He wanted to do everything on his terms because he's a selfish moron. That's why. And he did it as a PR stunt. He is an absolute fool, Bill. Very good call, and I agree with you.
Not for nothing, if he, like you guys said just before the break, if he was so against police brutality and you were so impassioned by it, why is it that you did the whole entire football season? As soon as the football season had stopped, didn't hear the word boo from you at all.
Yeah. No, you're right, Bill. You made a lot of good points. Listen, Bill, you and I are on the same page on this one. There's no doubt. Good phone call. 257-5396 is the number to call. 257-5396. Let's go to Troy. Troy, you're next up. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a PR stunt. He doesn't think he's going to get back in the NFL. He's doing this just so that he can say, look, I went and did my part, and he fulfilled his destiny by setting it up the way that he did, changing everything and then wearing that T-shirt is ridiculous.
Hey, Troy.
He didn't plan on getting back in.
And Troy, all the people, and I agree with you, all the people out there that have defended this guy, and all the people out there that are making him out to be a hero, and all the people out there that are saying, oh my God, the NFL is after him, he's been blackballed, and they won't let him back in the league. All the guy wants to do is play football. Guess what, Troy? That is down the toilet now. You cannot say that now, can you?
No, not at all. And he wants that to be the case. He just made it so that now he's going to say, look, I did my part, and they freaking blackballed me again. It just continues, and it's just a bunch of bullcrap. It really is.
It really is, Troy. I agree with you. Well stated, and I'm sorry. Hey, listen, maybe there's people out there that are still going to defend this guy. Please, defend the Kunta Kinte shirt. Please, I would love to hear that argument. Defend that shirt that he decided to wear to a job interview. Are you kidding me? 257-5396 is the number to call again if you want to be a part of the program. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Marge. Marge, you're next on the Vegas Take. What do you think of this?
I think that this is reminiscent of AB all over again. This is like a spoiled 10-year-old acting up. And, he was a child of privilege. He was adopted by white parents. He was given all the opportunities in the world. He was never maligned. And I think part of this is he could have had an agent that is saying, hey, you better do something soon because your relevance is starting to wane.
Yeah.
He's making money on the side through other venues, basically. And maybe his agent is getting concerned that he can't drum up, anything more for him, so he's got to come out.
Yeah.
That shirt, if he's going to wear a shirt, why doesn't he do for one of the rock groups or something that wouldn't be so controversial?
You make a good point, though, Marge, and it's not something, Marge, that I've brought up a lot here, but you make a very valid point. And I'm not saying that he's never been the victim of racism before. I've never made that statement, but let's make no mistake about it. This is not a man that was brought up in the hood, okay?
Correct.
This is not a man that was brought up with a poor family or raised by one parent.
Exactly.
Many African Americans that struggle every day, there are a lot of reasons for it, but a lot of them are brought up in poverty, I would imagine. Maybe they don't have the best family. Colin Kaepernick is not that guy. So forget about even slavery, him making the reference of slavery with the shirt he wore. Stop even making the reference of the horrible atrocities that he claims have happened to him. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Am I saying that he's never been the victim of racism? No, I wouldn't say that. But he is making it out to be like he has been such a victim his whole life. He got a free education at University of Nevada, Reno, okay? Then he made millions of dollars in the NFL, and now he's making more millions of dollars trying to be a martyr, and he is a fraud, Marge. And thank you for calling in as always. It's always good to hear. Always good to hear from you, Marge. Thank you for the phone call. 702-257-5396, the number to call. Again, it's 257-5396. Why don't we go to Chuck? Chuck, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Yeah, since Nike wields so much power in the NFL, do you think Nike might have been behind this stunt?
That is a very, very good question, Chuck.
since he works for him,
Yeah, no, I understand. Listen, the answer is I don't know. Here's what I think, Chuck, and then you could tell me if you agree or not. I think that this has been a mastermind plan for Colin Kaepernick off the field. Maybe when he decided to take a knee, he didn't think it'd go this far. I do believe that.
Whoa. Now you're saying it's a mastermind plan.
Let me explain why I feel that way.
Him a moron 16 times.
Well, you can be a moron and still be selfish. You could be a moron and still want to make money. When you could be a moron and be Colin Kaepernick and still, we've all called Donald Trump a moron before. Doesn't mean he's not calculated and makes good decisions that help himself. This is the same thing with Colin Kaepernick. So Chuck, you tell me if you agree or disagree with this, and then I'll ask you the same question. Okay? I believe when he started to get all this media coverage, when his career was going down the toilet and he was a backup quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and when he started to get all this media attention, he said, maybe I could do something with this. And then he started to, raise a ruckus about it. And then all of a sudden he gets paid by Nike, like you mentioned, Chuck, and he's making millions of dollars off the field. I believe this is all premeditated, and now it's continuing.
Wait a minute. He got the Nike deal way after he was already out of the league.
I understand that.
That was just a situation where Nike took advantage of the spotlight on him.
I understand.
So let's not make this something that's conflated with his NFL career. It has nothing to do with it.
It's conflated with him taking a knee. If he doesn't take a knee, he doesn't get a contract with Nike.
No, it was conflated with him being the face of that issue.
If
right?
he doesn't take a knee, he doesn't sign with Nike, period.
Why are you bringing in the taking the knee thing? The taking the knee thing is something that was adopted by hundreds, maybe even thousands of NFL players. A lot of NFL players have done exactly the same thing.
No, they haven't.
Colin Kaepernick. They haven't?
Let me explain.
You're telling me NFL players weren't out there taking a knee?
Let me explain.
Like Colin Kaepernick
If you let me explain, I will tell you.
Explain it.
There are many other players out there that have taken a knee, but they're not like Colin Kaepernick. You know why? Many of these NFL players have gone to Washington. Many of these... Hold on, let me finish.
We're talking about taking the knee.
Don't you compare these other NFL players to Colin Kaepernick because you're wrong. Just because they take a knee...
I'm not comparing them. I'm talking about the actual, actual thing, the actual... taking a knee, that caused, by the way, that's caused this entire
Chuck
controversy.
Respond. Okay, Chuck, go ahead. Respond to what we're talking about here. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think this is like the timing and everything. I think there's somebody else pushing this, and I think it's Nike.
Well, I mean, you might be right, Chuck, and I appreciate the call. Sorry, Chuck, I got to get to some other callers. Listen. You might be right on this one. I believe that there might have been some handlers, maybe some Nike people, maybe some agents that got together and said, "Colin, how do we exploit this? How do we get our name out there?" By the way, the number to call is 257-5396. Again, that number 702-257-5396. There could have been people around Colin, but listen, Colin Kaepernick is an adult. Okay, he can make his own decisions. Nobody forced him to wear that shirt. Nobody forced him to wear a Kunta Kinte shirt, a slavery shirt. Nobody forced him to do that. He decided to do it himself. He made that decision. He's a grown man, and it was ludicrous, and it was ridiculous, and he is a fraud, and I am sticking by my guns on that one.
But as to the timing, though, of this workout, we do have to be intellectually honest here as people who follow the NFL and follow football. It is also because, look, there's been a number of injuries. It's a football thing, too, also. Okay, there's been a number of injuries in the NFL. Teams need quarterbacks, so that is that's a big reason why. Look, it's not just magically appear that Colin Kaepernick said, you know what, I need to go out and have a workout this weekend. Okay, there's a reason behind it because there have been so many quarterback injuries in the NFL, and so some teams that's a position that they need. And so there is an aspect of that to it also. Yeah. I get what you're saying as far as it looks shady, as far as it looks like he's trying to bring more attention or trying to bring the spotlight back onto him.
It is shady.
But there also
look shady. It is shady.
But the point I'm making though is there still is a football aspect of this.
Not anymore.
Okay,
not anymore.
Well, there was not anymore. There wasn't Thursday and Friday when
not
NFL
anymore.
Teams were talking about
not Thursday or Friday.
Their
not
quarterback
anymore.
situations.
Not
and
anymore.
We would think about signing this guy.
Not anymore.
Well,
maybe it's not Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, but you're talking about after what happened on Saturday, which was a debacle. Okay, no question. It was a debacle.
All right, let's take some more phone calls. 257-5396 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Steven? Steven, you are next on the Vegas Take. What do you make of all this?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Steven.
Well, I'd like to expound a little more on my efforts on the Brian Kilmeade show at about 8:30. Anybody that was listening heard me on for about 10 seconds.
I'll give you 20 if you can make your point. Go ahead.
I definitely can make the point.
Please do.
Saturday was a very important day, and Colin, if you're out there and you need help with your new discrimination lawsuit, I'll be happy to help you.
So you're supporting him wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt?
Saturday, if I can get a sentence.
Well, I'm waiting. I've given you 20 seconds. You haven't. With all due respect, Stephen, let's get right to the issue, okay? Do you hold on? Do you defend him wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt? Would you defend him for wearing that shirt?
Is he required to wear a K-Don T-shirt?
Nothing. That is a completely ridiculous statement. I asked you a very specific question.
Let me explain to you why it's important before you cut me off and tell me how stupid I am.
Excuse me, I haven't called you stupid, but I am asking you to answer a question. Do you defend him wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt in a job interview? It's a yes or no question.
What he wanted to wear.
So you're defending him. Okay, bye-bye. Goodbye. I gave you 30 seconds. I'm not going to get into an argument with an ignoramus who thinks it is okay to wear a Kunta Kinte shirt to a job interview. I am not going to hear you out. If you said no, I don't defend it, that I would have let you continue. I'm not going to have a argument on the air with somebody who thinks that is okay. That is ridiculous. What's next? Are we going to be okay wearing white power shirts to a job interview? It's a joke. 257-5396. Let's go to Greg. Greg, you're next.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Greg. What's on your mind?
Oh, well, just hearing that, I guess he was an attorney, that pissed me off. Some fears making it okay to wear that to a job interview.
Ridiculous. He compared that, Greg, to wearing a KDWN shirt.
That's ridiculous.
It's absurd.
The people we have in this country right now are so illiterate. They are so stupid. America's gone to shit because they hate
Watch the language.
Trump.
Watch the language.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right.
They hate Donald Trump. So, like Colin Kaepernick, he's going to take a knee, and everybody is going to defend him, or they're going to get.
Well, listen, I hate Donald Trump.
I think you're oversimplifying the entire situation.
Greg, as you know, Greg, I dislike Donald Trump.
I don't like Donald Trump either.
I dislike Donald Trump for a lot of different
reasons. It doesn't
reasons.
make me an
ignorant
person.
But I also dislike Colin Kaepernick. I think they are both disingenuous people. I think they are both frauds.
They are.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump, I'm going to be honest with you, he's done a lot of good. He can be an a-hole, but.
Well, Colin Kaepernick's donated a lot of money. Colin Kaepernick's donated a lot of money to a lot of charities. He's done some good, too. Doesn't mean we can't call them disingenuous. Doesn't mean we can't call them frauds or liars. I think they're both liars.
When you're supporting an NFL team and you take a knee upon the American flag, upon the national anthem, and you cross your arms, that is fully disrespect. I lost respect in the NFL. I lost respect for all football. I have not watched football since, and I will not.
Well, we can go on for days about that. I'm a veteran, and there's a lot of veterans. Well, exactly. There's a lot of veterans out there that would absolutely disagree with you. Look, it's about the motivation. It's about the reasoning behind the taking the knee, okay? And it's not about disrespecting the military, which I am former military. It's not about disrespecting our servicemen and women who serve this country. It's about bringing a spotlight on social injustice and law enforcement. That is why the NFL players were taking the knees back
that is
the last 3-4 years ago.
But that is a different conversation, and I actually agree with you on that. It's not. I don't have a problem with taking the knee.
You're agreeing with me because I'm right.
But here's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with his behavior after taking the knee. Some of the things he's done off the field and what he did over the weekend.
I'm not going to make excuses for stupid things that he does.
And if the NFL says, Colin or whoever, you cannot take a knee anymore because we believe it's hurting our product, they're the bosses, and they have a right to tell you cannot take a knee. And if you don't like it, then go earn your paycheck somewhere else. Guess what? That's how this country works. Okay? If they give
you're
you
oversimplifying.
No, I'm not
everything.
oversimplifying.
Yes, you are. Yeah, because first of all, you're saying
not.
the NFL. It's the NFL teams that make the decision.
Excuse me.
It's the owners that make the decision.
If they don't want you to take a knee,
every individual owner makes their own decision.
What part of that do you not understand? If they don't want you to take a knee,
you're just making a statement that's not correct.
Okay, so you're telling me. Hold on
NFL.
a second. You're telling me in the workplace, if you're doing something that they think is hurting the company, they don't have the right to tell you to stop.
I'm saying you're oversimplifying this situation regarding Colin Kaepernick and other NFL players, by the way.
Take some more phone
you're
calls.
oversimplifying.
All right. Well,
okay?
we're going to agree. We're going to agree to disagree on that one. 257-5396, the number to call. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you are next on the Vegas Take. Go.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. I wanted to bring up Colin Kaepernick. He was the first one to kneel.
Yes, he was.
And that's what started all the kneeling. And what he said along with it is what pissed off pretty much all America, because he said America has never been great and will never be great.
Well, I don't agree with that. Listen, I don't agree with his statement there, Brady. But here's where I think we're going to disagree, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong here. I don't have a problem with him taking a knee. I have a problem with his behavior after taking the knee, like the Fidel Castro shirt, like the pig socks, like the Kunta Kinte shirt he wore. It shows you a pattern of behavior that he is an ignorant fraud. Okay, now as far as taking the knee goes, let's go back to that, Brady. Listen, if the NFL said it was okay, then I don't think he's doing anything wrong. He could take a knee in his front lawn. He could do whatever he wants to in private. He has the right to protest and do what he wants to do. But when he's getting a paycheck from the NFL and the owners are saying this is bad for our league, we have to police this and do something about it, you can't do it. That's what people don't understand, and that's what I'm trying to explain to Chris. But Brady,
well, no. Let me get this straight though. I've always pointed this out, and people that have been blasting him for taking a knee have never given me a straight answer or a reason why. Okay, I have pointed out this. Okay, if it is such a horrible thing, if it was something that was so bad, taking a knee, then how come Colin Kaepernick has been the only one that's faced any type of reprimand? Okay, there have been thousands of NFL players who took a knee in the past 3 to 4 to 5 years, okay? They haven't been punished the way that Colin Kaepernick has. That just destroys your whole argument that, in the NFL, you can't...
Who's taking a knee this year? Who's taking a knee this year?
This year, it hasn't been a focus.
Do you know why? Do you know why they haven't
done it?
Hold on. Okay, let me give you the facts.
So
do you know why?
What does this year have to do with it, Brian? I'm talking about the last 3 or 4 years.
I'm explaining to you why people have stopped taking a knee.
Okay, Brian, have thousands of NFL players not taken a knee the past 3 or 4 years?
They have, but the NFL has implemented new rules. Are you unaware of that?
What? But no, we're talking about. I'm asking you the question about why has nothing happened to those players that took the knee back then?
I will explain to you why.
Colin Kaepernick has been reprimanded. He's been vilified.
I will explain to you
why. He has been absolutely destroyed. Just for that taking the knee part, not for all the actions afterwards that were stupid. I'm talking about the actual
There's a lot of
kneeling
different
that Colin Kaepernick started.
What you're saying.
He's the one that faces consequences. No other NFL player has.
The reason why is because a lot of people see him as a negative. A lot of owners see him as all talk, and a lot of people see him as a negative as far as ticket sales could hurt their bottom line. A lot of these other players have taken a knee,
but
they're not out there.
What happened to the other NFL players?
Because a lot of these other NFL players are not speaking out and talking in the tone that Colin Kaepernick does. A lot of these players have not worn Fidel Castro shirts, have not worn
It's a cut and dry thing now, Brian. They're kneeling or not kneeling.
I gave you my answer. It's a lot more than kneeling. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Sean. Sean, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Good. Go ahead, Sean.
Good. I was going to say about the taking the knee thing. I'm sorry to keep driving that home, but I feel like there's a double standard with because when I forget what year it was, back when Tim Tebow took his knee in a protest towards abortion, nothing really came of that. But then a couple years later, Colin Kaepernick takes the knee, and then we have. I mean, I understand what you're saying, the actions afterwards, but, it was a big thing when he was taking the knee, when Tim Tebow took the knee.
I don't have a problem with him taking a knee. I never was insulted by him taking a knee. I think the American flag is a personal thing, just like religion, and nobody should tell you what the flag should mean to you, and I get sick and tired of people calling in saying that. I kind of agree with you, Sean. Again, my problem isn't taking the knee. Let me ask you a question, Sean. Are you an African-American, if you don't mind me asking?
Sir.
Okay,
yes,
perfect,
sir.
Sean. Then you're the perfect person for me to ask this question to.
Oh,
do you think Colin Kaepernick has actually done enough to solve this problem? And the reason why I asked that question is there are other NFL players that have gone to Washington and spoke to politicians that have taken a knee. There are other NFL players that have spoken to law enforcement. Colin Kaepernick hasn't done any of that stuff. In fact, he's profited more off the field than on the field because of this issue. Now, he has donated to charity, but that's not going. We know that is not going to solve this problem. When you throw money at a poor community.
Well, you're making a judgment, though, based on what you think Colin Kaepernick should do, though.
I'm sorry,
You're
Sean.
making your judgment, Brian.
Go ahead, Sean. What'd you say?
No. He did have a thing where he started a class for young African American males that basically on how you should act whenever you get pulled over. He did.
And I can appreciate that, but what has he done with law enforcement? What has he done with politicians to try to change laws that are on the books?
Yeah, that's a whole nother monster that you got to. You got to attack from a whole.
But you understand why I'm asking you that, right? I mean,
I completely understand because I know. Like I called in a couple weeks ago. I've been on the other end of not police brutality because I always comply. But,
sure. And listen, I'm glad, and I wish everybody would take classes like that. But and by the way, Sean, good to hear from you, and I do appreciate the phone call. But my opinion's not going to change on Colin Kaepernick now. I don't care what the hell he does in the future. I think he's a fraud. He's a liar. And what he did wearing that shirt over the weekend speaks volumes about his character and his seriousness about getting back into the NFL. Let's try to get to another call at 257-5396. Let's go to George. We lost George. We lost George. Let me give out that number again. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We're talking about Colin Kaepernick. The Kunta Kinte shirt that he wore over the weekend to me speaks volumes about his character, speaks volumes about what he was actually trying to accomplish. And make no mistake about it, It is obvious beyond belief of what Colin Kaepernick was trying to get out of this workout. He wants to stay relevant. He wants to stay in the news. He wanted it was a PR stunt and nothing more, nothing less. That's exactly what it was. He wouldn't answer questions from the media, even though he claimed he went to this high school complex for two reasons. One, so that the media could be there, and number two, because he had a problem with some sort of liability thing in his contract, which is absolute BS and crap, by the way. It is nonsense. It is ridiculous. And anything that Colin Kaepernick says from here on out, I am not going to believe, because I truly believe that he is a fraud. And we got to go to break, Chris. It was a very heated conversation and a good conversation, but I think most people are on my side on this one, and even you would agree with me.
Well,
that
on
the
certain aspects,
was,
absolutely we're on your side, Ryan.
It was absurd.
We have a couple disagreements.
Yes. Well, guess what? Some people that are going to be listening next hour might have some disagreements with this man, but nothing you can say about Seth Moulton about his heroism. He is a hero. He is a war hero. He also happens to be a Massachusetts congressman, and he's going to be joining us next. He was also a former presidential candidate. What is the latest on the impeachment hearings? And listen, this guy, Patrick Duvall, he's actually in the presidential race. Seth Moulton's in Massachusetts, so we'll get his opinion on that. What do you make of going after witnesses the day they take the stand? Did the president break the law? We'll ask Seth Moulton that and much, much more. The congressman coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Paid for by Bank on Yourself.
Are you absolutely sure the money you're saving for retirement in your 401k or IRA will be enough?
The World Economic Forum reports that the typical 65-year-old will outlive their savings by almost 10 years.
And that means a bleak future for most retirees.
But there's a better way to prepare for retirement, and you can read all about it in a free book called Rescue Your Retirement.
Discover the safe, wealth-building strategy that's increased in value every year for more than a century.
Even the man who invented the 401k now prefers this method instead.
Get Rescue Your Retirement and make sure you'll have enough money to last.
Just pay a small shipping charge, and we'll send you this book for free that could give you financial security for life.
Hurry. This offer is extremely limited. To get your free copy, just go to rescueyourretirementbook.com. That's rescueyourretirementbook.com to get this free life-changing book. RescueYourRetirementBook.com.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Hey, it's Lee Goldberg of the GCI guys at Realty One Group. Do you know anyone that's looking to buy a home, sell a home, rent, move from California? If so, give them my number, 702-902-3029. All listeners of the Vegas Take get $1,000 in your hand back at closing. Hometown heroes, veteran, military, police, teacher, nurse, I'm giving you $2,000 back. That also goes for hospitality and casino employees. Free use of a moving truck for a day, 6 free months of home security. Call me, 702-902-3029, the GCI guys.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Sunday nights, it's Steve Sanchez.
Wake the heck up.
Live from the Undisclosed Bunker Studios, with a Constitution in one hand and a Bible in the other. Sundays from 7 to 10 p.m. on News Talk 720, KDWN.
And now a message from the traffic cone you ran over on Blue Diamond last week.
Okay, ow, that hurt. I know, you're in a hurry, but I could have been killed. Look, I have a wife and a baby cone on the way. I'm out there risking it all. And for what? I'll tell you. Southern Nevada's economic future. I'm helping the I-11 get built and the Centennial Bowl. So show a cone a little love.
Love the cone. For road construction details, visit seeingorangenv.com or call 702-928-CONE.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Another store shooting, investigating potential lies. I'm Mike Moss. A shooting outside a Duncan, Oklahoma Walmart this morning. 3 are dead, including the shooter. We get more from correspondent Clayton Neville.
Police say the shooting happened just after 10 this morning outside the city's downtown. Duncan's about 80 miles southwest of Oklahoma City. Area schools were immediately placed on lockdown, neighboring businesses notified to be alert. No motive known, and investigators are now on the scene. The shooting comes just months after a gunman opened fire at an El Paso Walmart, killing 22 people. That store was reopened just last week.
Did President Trump lie in his written deposition in the Mueller Russia investigation? Correspondent Jessica Schneider reports investigators want to know after hearing testimony in the conviction of Roger Stone for lying to Congress and witness tampering.
This is all coming out in the wake of Roger Stone being found guilty last week on 7 counts, including lying to Congress and witness tampering. And in that trial, significant information came out from Rick Gates, the deputy campaign chairman at the time during the campaign, as well as Steve Bannon, about what the president and campaign aides knew at the time of these WikiLeaks release.
Correspondent Boris Sanchez reports the president says he is strongly considering testifying before the impeachment inquiry.
Responding to a statement from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi over the weekend, the president writing on Twitter that he likes the idea and will, in order to get Congress focused again, strongly consider testifying publicly. President Trump repeatedly talked about sitting for an interview with Robert Mueller during the Russia investigation before ultimately declining to do so.
The Supreme Court has delayed for at least 10 days an appeals court ruling that required the president's accounting firm to hand over the president's financial documents. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 17, S&P down 1. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Doctor-Patient Unity. A crash reported on Summerlin Parkway eastbound at the 95. It's blocking the left lane. Expect slow and go from Buffalo Drive. Also an accident reported I-15 northbound at the Spaghetti Bowl. And one more, it's a crash 95 southbound at Jones Boulevard. Vehicles off left. As surprise medical bills bankrupt Americans, Jackie Rosen stands with doctors to remove patients from billing disputes. She demands insurance companies pay their fair share in opposing their rate-setting proposal to cover less medical care. Tell Jackie Rosen thank you and keep fighting. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
For more than a year, the whole of Vermont was captivated by the hunt for a runaway golden retriever. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press, available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever, 99 cents, plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Are your investment dollars really going to work for you? The average Vestar Tech client gets 78% annual returns. That's right, 78% annual returns for over 2 decades with a recession-proof investment class they just started offering to the public. And for a limited time, you can begin enjoying these amazing annual returns. Call now for more info and to take advantage of 6 months absolutely free. This offer won't last, so call now at 888-88-PROFIT. Call Vestar Tech now. That's 888-88-PROFIT.
From office parties to family get-togethers, if you tend to overdrink, the holidays aren't always the most wonderful time of the year. But quitting completely? Well, that's just not realistic. Sound familiar? Meet LifeBack, a modern science-based approach that allows you to effectively cut back on your alcohol consumption. Using medication that's clinically proven to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a need. Plus, LifeBack is completely private with online doctor consults, medication delivered discreetly to your doorstep, and coaching and support tools through the app. LifeBack comes with a free online doctor consultation and 30-day money-back guarantee, and the program costs less than 1 drink per day. Don't wait for end-of-the-year regrets. Starting the physician-approved LifeBack program now will allow you to drink normally during the holiday season and go into the new year healthier and happier. Visit lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today to learn more. That's lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today.
720 on the AM, 1015 FM.
Yeah, now on FM.
The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas. KDON. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas State rolling out hour number 2. C-Win in studio on a Monday. My name is Brian Shapiro. Welcome back to the show. Appreciate you joining us. A lot to get to, a lot to go over. Of course, we have this impeachment inquiry, the hearings continuing. And boy, this week is going to be salacious, I guess you could say. Must-see TV. Some people are calling it boring. I don't find this boring at all. I find it sad that it's gotten to this point, but not boring. And the man joining us on the line with us right now, he is a war hero. He is a veteran. And he is also a congressman out of Massachusetts, a former presidential candidate, and we respect him a great deal, and we always love it when he takes some time to join us on the show. Seth Moulton joining us right now. Seth, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Hey, it's great to be back. I always enjoy being on with you guys.
Thanks, Seth. That means a lot. We appreciate that. So much to get to you in such a short period of time. Before we get to the impeachment inquiry stuff, what were your thoughts on Deval Patrick entering the race? See, I think it's already diluted. You know, there's just too many people up there on the stage. How do you feel about this being there in Massachusetts?
Well, look, I mean, I'm not a political pundit, but I'm friends with Deval Patrick, and I know him well. He and his wife have been strong advocates, in particular for mental health care, which is something I talked about during my campaign. It's something that's really important to me. And the fact that they've been so open about their experiences there is something that I particularly admire. And it's an issue that I want to see on the debate stage. So, that's one thing I'll just throw out there that I admire about him and appreciate about his candidacy. But, look, this race is kind of all over the place. And who knows where it's headed.
That's true. Well, I wanted to ask you about the race. I'm a big supporter of Mayor Pete Buttigieg. I think he's a great guy, extremely intelligent. And I think he's a little bit more to the center, which I think the Democratic Party needs, quite frankly. What do you make of this rise in the polls and the surging Mayor Pete?
Well, he's obviously had a lot of resources. He got in the race very early, well ahead of me and most of the other candidates, and raised a tremendous amount of money. And that's given him the resources to put people on the ground, particularly in Iowa. So, if you look at his place in the national polls, it's not very impressive at all. But if you look at his place on the Iowa polls, he's doing really, really well. And there's a couple polls that even have him in first, I think. And so, he obviously has the volunteers and the paid staff on the ground to get the word out about his candidacy, and that's made a difference that you're seeing pay off right now.
Also on the Democratic side, of course, Michael Bloomberg is someone that is, being talked about. And while I don't know exactly the details regarding whether or not he's officially filed or if it's something that he intends to do, but I wanted to get your thoughts also on the fact that, maybe the possibility of having him also in the mix on the Democratic side.
Well, I mean, in full disclosure, I know Mayor Bloomberg as well. He was a fantastic mayor for New York City. And obviously has a perspective on, on just managing a large organization like New York City. I mean, New York City has a budget that's bigger than a lot of state budgets. I mean, he's got a tremendous skill set that he brings to this race. And, he's also been a tremendous advocate on environmental causes. I don't think there's anyone who's spent more of his personal money on gun reform. So he's also got an interesting perspective to add to this race. But, all these candidates have to ask, what are actually my chances of getting through a Democratic primary coming in this late in the game? And I started my campaign in late April. And I got to tell you, the number one mistake that I made was just starting too late. There were an awful lot of people who said to me, Seth, I would have supported you, but I'm already supporting Mayor Pete or someone else.
Right. Yeah.
And if April was too late, you got to wonder how it's going to work for these candidates now. Having said that, obviously there's people who are interested in them.
Yeah, and there's no question. Obviously, as you know, we wish you were on that stage, and we wish you entered the race a little bit earlier. And I have no doubt you would have been on that stage if you did. If you're just joining us, we are speaking to Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton, former presidential candidate as well. Okay, so let's talk about the impeachment inquiry. As you know, Seth, we have Gordon Sondland, who's going to be testifying on Wednesday. To me, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong, Seth, I think this is one of the biggest witnesses, if not the biggest one, for the Democrats, because this is a guy not with second or third hand knowledge. This is a guy with firsthand knowledge who changed things up a little bit, who heard the phone call. And to me, this is going to be a pivotal moment so far for this inquiry on whether Trump abused his power. Would you agree with that?
Well, from what I know, that's probably right. I mean, this is Trump's hand-picked guy who initially defended the president Then it turns out he, in my opinion, he thought he was lying, and so he re-remembered some things or something like that. I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, and came back and changed his testimony and said that yes, in fact, there was a quid pro quo. The president was withholding aid to try to get them to pursue this phony investigation. And it was very clear, the president made it clear to the ambassador that that's exactly why he was doing it. So the fact that this is a Trump ally who initially tried to defend the president and then realized he was on the wrong side of history and changed his testimony, I mean, that's pretty significant. At the end of the day, this is about more than one phone call, though. It's a pattern of behavior. And we have multiple witnesses testifying publicly and privately that President Trump used official government business for his own personal political gains, by asking a foreign country to investigate his political rival. And that, I mean, if that's not a high crime, the Constitution says we impeach presidents for high crimes and misdemeanors. If withholding an arms deal from an ally for personal political gain isn't a high crime, I don't know what is.
Seth, I want to get your take also on this whole narrative that's put out there regarding, the atmosphere surrounding this entire impeachment inquiry out in public. There's been words used like pizzazz. It lacks excitement. And look, to me, I just think it's absolutely ludicrous that we're discussing whether or not this is some type of Broadway show or reality show that's fun for the public to watch, when in reality, it should be about, we're just getting to the facts, right? We're just trying to get to a point where we can establish whether or not our commander-in-chief, our president of the United States, actually engaged in wrongdoing, high crimes and misdemeanors. To me, I'm just absolutely blown away at the adolescent kind of attitude that's being taken by some people out there regarding whether or not these should have pizzazz or be exciting when it comes to these proceedings.
I totally agree with you. This is very serious stuff.
Yes.
And frankly, much more serious than like the stuff that Clinton was accused of. Of course, it's just, the salacious details of, sex acts in the Oval Office or whatever else. That obviously captures people's attention, and you remember the stain on the dress and all this crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, let's step back and look at these crimes in comparison. Just look at what Trump has done in comparison to what Nixon did, for example. Nixon, it was just sort of a first-rate burglary that his people pursued, and then he tried to cover it up and he lied about it. This is much bigger than burglary. There are lives on the line, thousands of lives on the line, on the ground in Ukraine. They're counting on our military assistance. Our entire State Department, military, everyone is geared towards supporting Ukraine against the threat of Russia. And Trump comes in and tries to undermine all of that, tries to undermine all these people literally on the front lines in a war just to get the government to investigate his political rival. Again, if this isn't a high crime, it's well beyond a misdemeanor, I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
If this isn't a high crime, I don't know what is. And just because it doesn't have salacious details about sex or whatever, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be taking it seriously.
What would you say to some of your friends on the right that are in office that are even going to the extreme and saying that even if there is a quid pro quo, that is not enough to impeach the president? What would you say to them right now?
I would say to them, tell me how you're going to explain this to your grandkids. Seriously, tell me how you're going to explain siding with this criminal when your grandkids ask. Because the history is very clear, and the story gets worse every single day for the president. This is completely indefensible. And history will remember political courage. It won't remember, partisan politics on behalf of people who are just trying to defend the guy in power right now. And that's exactly what they're doing. I don't know anyone who seriously thinks this isn't a massive big deal.
And
it's just that they're trying to defend the president.
And
it's
Seth,
politically advantageous right now.
Yeah, and Seth, I would even take it a step further. Brian and I had a chance. We saw Juan Williams on Fox News yesterday. He talked about President Trump and his perspective on this. And look, if we take President Trump at his word where he says, you know what, I did nothing wrong.
Perfect
that was
call.
a perfect phone call. Then it gives you every indication that the President of the United States thinks it's okay and he can just go on and do it again. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, this is lunacy that we would take that viewpoint of, oh, you know what? It was a perfect phone call. Everything was just fine. And so, I guess, if that's the case, and there's a lot of Republicans that are on board with this, if they're saying that, there was no quid pro quo, there was nothing wrong with the phone call, they are taking that exact perspective that the president is.
I mean, the absurdity of trusting a guy who we know lies every day. I mean, even his supporters say, oh, yeah, well, I know he doesn't always tell the truth. Okay, this guy lies every single day, every hour.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Lying, okay? So the fact that you would trust him in just saying, oh, it's a perfect phone call, and not trust people, like the ambassador who, I'm not talking about Sondland, I'm talking about Ambassador Taylor, who is a decorated Vietnam veteran. You're going to trust a draft dodger who lies every hour of every day over a career State Department professional who graduated from West Point and actually did his duty in going to serve in Vietnam and did it heroically, while Trump was sending someone else in his place because he lied about his feet.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's so absurd. And the point is that, someday this is really going to come back to, the rooster's going to come home. And these Republicans are going to have to explain why they were so immoral, so fundamentally immoral in siding with a criminal when the national security of the United States was on the line. Mm-hmm. And they may be able to find comfort by watching Fox News today and find, that some people on there. But, this is akin to people who supported terrible leaders throughout history and, have to then go explain it to this. I mean, I have a friend who grew up in Germany, and some of his relatives supported Hitler back in the day. And there were a lot of people who supported him. In fact, Hitler got democratically elected. But now he's got to explain how his family could do that. And that's why I say to these Republicans, tell me how you're going to explain this to your grandkids.
Yeah,
because it may not be tomorrow, but sometime, 10, 20 years from now, you're clearly going to be on the wrong side of history.
And, one of those Republicans who I do have a lot of respect for, Kasich, will be joining us later on this week. And even though he's not running for office right now, he's got a new book out, but he's always been honest when it comes to the president. We respect him a great deal, and that's kind of what you're talking about, having a little bit of backbone. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Massachusetts Congressman and obviously war veteran Seth Moulton, former Democratic presidential candidate as well. Okay, Seth, so it doesn't even end there. Let's talk about I'm not going to use the word witness tampering, but how about witness harassment? Donald Trump has done that several times in the last week, trying to discredit these witnesses, trying to intimidate them. And in fact, that's even come up in testimony, and it's come up with some of your Democratic coworkers up there in Washington in talking to these witnesses about that if they do feel intimidated, and some of them do. Can you talk to me about that, and how is it possible that we have a president right now
live tweeting
while you have a witness up there on the stand using intimidation tactics, and there are not Republicans screaming up to high heaven about how wrong this is? I mean, explain that to me.
Well, there's a reason why Profiles in Courage, the book about political courage that John F. Kennedy wrote, or more accurately, his speechwriter wrote. And there's a reason why that book's a thin book. It's unusual to find someone like your next guest who's going to come on and criticize someone in their own party. But here's the bottom line: we all got to understand this is a conscious strategy on the part of the president. Think about it. He got accused of withholding military aid from Ukraine. So what does he do next? He goes on live TV and he says, China, you should investigate things too. Just to sort of try to normalize it, to try to make everybody think, oh, geez, he's just doing so many things wrong, whatever, it's not all a big deal. Well, this is a big deal. Every one of these things is a big deal. And the reason why I was one of the earliest Democrats, even before Elizabeth Warren, by the way, to support impeaching the president, to go through this process, to having this inquiry, is because the message at the end of the day can't be, okay, you can break the law in all these different sorts of ways, but just don't withhold military aid from Ukraine and then you won't get in trouble, right? If the message coming out of this is it's okay for presidents to intimidate witnesses, it's okay for presidents to obstruct justice, as Robert Mueller made it clear he did. It's okay for presidents to profit off the office. That's called violating the emoluments clause of the Constitution. I mean, an explicit violation of the Constitution of the United States. It's okay to do that. Just don't withhold military aid from an ally, and you'll be fine. So my point is that we can't let Trump get away with any of this stuff, because we live in a country where the fundamental principle is that nobody is above the law.
Seth, let's talk about the media for a second. As you know, many people on the right, including the president all the way down, they want to call CNN and MSNBC fake news, right? The president has been attacking the media from the get-go on the campaign trail. I want to discuss with you what is on the front of the Fox News website right now, because it is laughable to me. This is the top story right on the Fox News website, where millions of people, I would imagine, are going to this website every day. Fox News exclusive. White House official sues media publication over Ukraine story. Eyes Shifrel. That is the main story. And then we have a story about Mike Huckabee, who says the impeachment hearings are going to lead to a landslide re-election to Donald Trump. You know, they want to call CNN Fox News. They want to call CNN fake news and MSNBC. There's nothing up there about the actual legitimacy of the impeachment inquiry. There's nothing up there about what these witnesses are testifying to in regards to, what Donald Trump did in that call and what he did maybe prior to the call withholding aid. But they want to talk about some White House official suing a media publication. This is an absolute disgrace as far as I'm concerned.
Because Fox News does exactly what the president does. They try to change the channel, try to change the story, turn people's attention.
Yeah.
When President Trump went against the advice of every single military advisor he's ever had, including Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, and retreated from Syria, abandoning our allies in the fight against ISIS and allowing ISIS prisoners to escape so they can attack us again. When he did that, which was so indefensible, and to their credit, there are a few Republicans who even spoke up and said, yeah, this is bad.
Lindsey Graham.
This is bad,
yeah.
right? So when that happened that morning, I went to foxnews.com because I wanted to see what they were saying. I said, how are they going to explain this? And I'll tell you how. They didn't even mention it. Biggest news story of the month, and you couldn't even find it on foxnews.com because they just didn't want anybody to know. So Fox News is about entertainment. They're about entertainment for a certain point of view. And I was told this by a Fox executive. I went down there as a freshman of Congress, and I said, look, I want to get on your network more because I think you need to have a little more balance and show another perspective. And I'm a veteran, I should be appealing to your audience, conservatives like veterans and all that. And they looked at me and they said, Seth, we're not in the news business. We're in the entertainment business.
Wow.
And we know our audience.
So you're telling me that an executive, so you go into, let's go back to this because I find this very interesting. You go into Fox News. I would imagine this happened when you were running for president, and you're trying to get more appearances on Fox News, which I would have totally supported. I think more Democrats need to go on Fox News. And you're telling me an executive at Fox News looked at you in the eye and said, we're not in the news business, we're in the entertainment business.
That's right. Wow. That's right. That was their explanation. And so, it's just laughable. I mean, MSNBC may be a little right of center. They're a little bit off of left of center, rather. They're a little bit off the center line.
Sure.
But I mean, Fox is so far out in right field. I mean, they're off the map.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, you're right. They are.
So Seth, of course,
they're like so far right. They're behind home plate. Behind that ball.
Little baseball reference never hurt anybody, right? Of course, look, Seth, because obviously, we understand the focus on these impeachment hearings because they are historic. There's only been a handful of presidents who've dealt with it, but there are, the average Americans out there who have to ask the question, and I want to pose that to you as someone who's been in Congress and is in Congress, is that we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? We are in a position where Washington D.C. can go through these proceedings, and you guys can also get things done legislatively, right? I mean, we all understand when President Clinton was going through this back in the 90s that he was still in the process of dealing with his constituents and dealing with other people in Washington D.C. So this is something that we can do, right? We can handle these impeachment proceedings, but we can also get the work done for the American people that they need done.
Well, that's exactly what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing that. In fact, we have a big showdown this week on funding the government. But the Democratic House of Representatives has passed our appropriations bills. 96%, I think it is.
Nice.
Appropriations have been passed, We're just waiting on the Senate. Everything's in the Senate. And we passed historic gun reform in the House of Representatives. It's not even getting a vote in the Senate. We passed historic election reform and election security measures through the Democratic House. Mitch McConnell won't even give it a vote. And so all these things, look, I know gun reform is a divisive issue. We've found some bills that are bipartisan, but I know it can be divisive, and there will be some Republicans who vote against it. But my God, have the courage to do your job and actually have a vote. At least have a vote. Mitch McConnell won't even allow a vote on these things. So when people say Congress isn't getting anything done, it's not Congress as a whole. It's just the Senate. Mitch McConnell has turned the Senate into a legislative graveyard. And you're talking to a very bipartisan member. I'm someone who works across the aisle. I'm someone who's passed a lot of bipartisan bills. I've done a lot of work for veterans. I'm always working on bipartisan stuff.
Yeah, you
and
are.
I'm always trying to get it through the Senate too. But there's one reason that's not happening right now, and his name is Mitch McConnell.
You're right. And by the way, let me just say this for the record. If there's anybody that wants to talk about courage, it should be you, because you served this country honorably. You risked your life for this country, and you always should be commended as any other veteran. I would say the same thing. Seth, I always appreciate it so much when you take the time to join us. Appreciate your insight and the good work you are doing up there in Massachusetts, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on, and I really hope we can get you on again sometime soon, okay?
Appreciate it, Seth.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take some calls next time, too.
I would love to do that. Let's do that next time. I know you like taking calls. Thank you so much, Seth. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks,
All
Seth.
right.
Take care.
That is Seth Moulton, congressman out of Massachusetts. Next time he comes on, we will take calls. But we will take calls when we come back. 257-5396 is the number to reach us. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
Okay, grab a pen and a paper, because we're going to lay it on you straight up. Everybody wants to know how much a loan from Dollar Loan Center really costs, and it's way less than most people think. Vegas, Reno, Carson City, Pahrump, Laughlin, Fernley. The DLC is everywhere. So check this out. Let's start with a loan of $500 and we'll do the math from there. A $500 loan at Dollar Loan Center costs $2.75 a day in interest. Again, a $500 loan will cost you $2.75 per day in interest. If you need it for a week, $19.25. That's it. No fees to apply, no penalty to pay early, nothing else. Critics want you to think you have to pay back 2, 3, 4 times what you borrow, and it's simply not true. Please do your own research.
Licensed by the Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Annual percentage rate of 199.99%. For additional cost information, call 866-550-4352. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
3 years ago, my mom, my sweetheart, who had type 2 diabetes, died of heart disease. We didn't know that if you have diabetes, you are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop cardiovascular disease. And what's truly shocking to me is that millions of people living with diabetes aren't aware of their increased risk for heart disease.
What will it take to sink in?
If you have type 2 diabetes, know your risk of heart disease. Know your risk of heart disease. Know your risk of heart disease. Be good to yourself and those you love by knowing your risk. Heart disease and diabetes are linked. No matter how you have to hear it, please listen. Because the sooner you know your heart disease risk, the more you and your doctor can do about it. Go to foryoursweetheart.com.
My name is Janine McCoy with United Blood Services, and we need your help. Blood donations are low during this time of year. Take an hour out of your day to save 3 patients' lives. Donate now. Go to bloodhero.com, or you can call us at 702-233-9620.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
3 are dead, including the gunman, in a shooting in the parking lot of a Walmart in Duncan, Oklahoma this morning. A man and woman were found shot dead inside a vehicle. The gunman found shot and dead in the parking lot. Democrats are now looking into whether the president lied to Robert Mueller. Correspondent Jessica Schneider reports it's about what the president knew about WikiLeaks releases of material damaging to Hillary Clinton.
There was one specific conversation that was recounted by Rick Gates that in July 2016, the then candidate Trump took a phone call from Roger Stone. And when he got off the phone call, the president apparently said that he indicated more information would be coming from WikiLeaks.
The Supreme Court has turned down Martin Shkreli's appeal of his fraud conviction. The so-called farmer bro was sentenced to 7 years for lying about hedge funds that he was running. On Wall Street, not much change on the markets. The Dow up about 12. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report is paid for by Doctor-Patient Unity. Watch for slowing for the crash on the 95 northbound at Rainbow. Vehicles off right. And on the surface streets, an accident Rainbow north of Warm Springs Road. Injury sustained. Watch for police and fire. Also a crash at Burnham at Tropicana Avenue. That is no injury sustained there as surprise medical bills bankrupt Americans. Jackie Rosen stands with doctors to remove patients from billing disputes. She demands insurance companies pay their fair share in opposing their rate-setting proposal to cover less medical care. Tell Jackie Rosen thank you and keep fighting. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Hi, Doug Basham here. Join me Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4, and I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Saturday afternoons, 2 to 4. Be there.
Are you taking Cialis or Viagra? Marley Drug has generics of both for just $12 per tablet. That's a savings of $60 per dose. Marley Drug is an independent pharmacy delivering generic Cialis and Viagra to your door for $12 per tablet. Call Marley Drug at 800-870-4787. That's 800-870-4787. Again, 800-870-4787.
Hi, this is Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now. We are saying farewell to Tuesdays at 9 a.m. and moving to Saturdays at 11 a.m. Please do tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and learn about real estate right here on the new 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, which will bang its cymbals when the right resume appears. Okay, there is no monkey.
I said there is no monkey!
But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Visit Indeed.com/promo today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Does your child love math? Do they just love math so much that once they finish their homework, they want to work on extra math problems just for fun? Anyone? If you answered no, then you are not alone. While your child may not think math is important for their future, we know better. That's because Infinity the Math Institute offers the best math tutors in Las Vegas, produces the best results at the best prices for kids of all ages. Infinity the Math Institute does it all. Does your child need prep for the SATs? Right now, SAT preparation classes in November are just $15. Fractions, algebra, geometry, decimals, you name it. Plus, Infinity offers homeschool programs, free seminars for parents and students. And whether your child is transitioning from elementary school to middle school to high school, or preparing for college, Infinity can help. Classes are filling up. Call us now to find out more. 702-768-1777. That's 768-1777. You want the best results for your child? One call to Infinity can have a huge impact on your child's future. Call now. 768-1777. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
Space Force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us on a Monday. Chris Wynn joining us in studio as well. Coming up here in hour number 3, get to the UNLV football game over the weekend. That was another disaster for Tony Sanchez. I have a feeling As they said in Rounders, I believe it was John Malkovich said it. Don't you worry, son. It will all be over soon. Listen, I don't root for anybody to lose their job.
The Shapiro Russian accent, JD.
I don't root for anybody to lose their job. But in this instance, I don't think there is any chance that Tony Sanchez comes back. We will get to that coming up in hour number 3. UNLV basketball game tonight. We'll talk about that also. Also in hour number 3, really nice moment there at the LA Laker games last night where Kobe Bryant showed up. Doesn't show up to a lot of Laker games these days, but had a nice moment there with LeBron James. We'll get to that. Jamison Welsh from Drive Time Sports and Kanye West going off in church. We will get to that in hour number 3 as well. But I want to go back to these impeachment inquiry hearings real quickly, and I want to try to state this, I hopefully, as eloquently and as honest and as clear and concise as possible. Because I'm just going to put this in a nutshell. We could talk about the left attacking the right attacking the left. We could talk about all these different issues that Republicans have about this impeachment inquiry, but it doesn't change the facts. And if you are not biased and you are honest and you don't have an allegiance to your party, at the very least, you can admit that what President Trump did in that phone call, and it does appear, based on evidence, that he did withhold aid because of this investigation he wanted to put into the Bidens. And all the evidence points towards that. You have to admit, if you're a Republican or a Trump supporter, that at the very least it was inappropriate. Now, we can have a discussion. You could have a discussion with someone on whether you think it's an impeachable offense or not. That is a separate discussion. But if you cannot admit, and there are many Republicans out there that are spineless, that believe that what the president did in that phone call, like the president said, was a perfect call, and you believe that nothing in that call and the evidence that has been put forward, and by the way, there is going to be more evidence taking place in these hearings, if you can't admit at the very least that it was wrong of the president to do that, and by the way, some Republicans have said that, if you can't at least admit that it was wrong and inappropriate behavior to withhold financial aid to try to dig up dirt on a political opponent, if you can't make that assumption, then your opinion is not valid as far as I'm concerned. I know we all say, well, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Well, yeah, that's true, but if you're being disingenuous and you're not being honest about it, then what's the point? Now, whether it's an impeachable offense or not, to me is another discussion, and I don't know if he's going to be impeached for this or not, but his behavior is beyond inappropriate in that phone call, and what we've learned about him withholding aid, a part of the reason why that aid was withheld, maybe all the reason why it was withheld, we're going to get more information, was because he wanted to make sure that the president of the Ukraine looked into the Bidens. Do me a favor, do me a favor. So, again, any Republican out there that thinks that he did absolutely nothing wrong and they're okay with that type of behavior, to me, that opinion is not valid.
King Brian has spoken.
I think it's important to point out, though, guys, that what we're trying to get to here is we're trying to get to a bipartisan decision regarding impeachment, right? This isn't about, we're just trying to take care of the Democrats. This isn't about, we're just trying to go after the Republicans. This needs to be a thing where it's back in where both Republicans and Democrats support impeachment or don't support impeachment. Okay, and we're so far, in my opinion, away from that because there's so much animosity on both sides of things, whether it's Republicans saying that it's a hoax or it's a witch hunt, whether it's Democrats saying, oh my gosh, like there's so many, just deplorable things that have gone on here regarding President Trump. I mean, we got to find some way, don't we, Brian and JD, to bridge that divide and to come to, because when it's all said and done, right, when we come to the end of this and a decision has to be made regarding impeachment, right, it's going to have to be a bipartisan thing. It's not going to be just Democrats, making the decision and Republicans sitting on the sideline.
And that's the beauty of the impeachment process. It has to go through the House and it has to go through the Senate. And it's not going to make it through the Senate. It's just not going to happen. Donald Trump will not be impeached or removed from office, in my opinion, at this point. Now, I don't agree that it was in the best interest probably of the country for what he did. My biggest disagreement is the fact that it was unnecessary. He didn't need to dig up dirt on Joe Biden and his son. He was going to crush him regardless. And I think it really talks about his insecurity. He should know that, in my opinion, he should have known that Joe Biden wasn't as big of a threat as he was perceived to be, and that he didn't really have to, quote unquote, rig the process so that he had information on his opponent before everything started. And I'm disappointed that he even thought he had to do that to beat Joe Biden.
We'll open up the phone lines, but let me ask this question to our callers out there. If you're one of those people that thinks the president didn't do anything wrong in this phone call, if you're one of those people, then let me ask you this question. Do you think there is any percentage put forth the reason why Donald Trump brought up the Bidens in this phone call? Do you think it was 100% because he cares about corruption? Do you think it was 100% because he cares about the United States of America and corruption? Or do you not think that there was a percentage of that wants to go after Joe Biden because Joe Biden is one of his political rivals? Because if the answer is no, then I'm sorry, you're a clown. Part of the reason why Trump brought up Biden is because Biden is one of the front runners that's going to be probably going up against him in 2020. And if that is the case, which clearly it is, then that is abuse of power. I can't say it any more clearer than that.
And I think you have to ask yourself, has he done the exact same thing with the other candidates? Has he done the same thing with Elizabeth Warren or with Kamala Harris?
Well, how would that change it, though?
I'm just saying.
Well, he hasn't done it. You know why he hasn't done it? Because he thinks Joe Biden is the guy. This is look. I don't want to claim to be in Donald Trump's head, but I think he's under the assumption that Joe Biden is going to be the guy, right? That's the guy he's going head to head with.
I get that, but it's not a guarantee at
all.
So now, do you think that it's possible that
go ahead, finish your thought, and then I want to give up.
That if none of this happened, that if the whistleblower didn't come through with the Ukraine call, that he would have done the exact same thing down the line to every single other potential candidate against him in 2020?
I suppose it's possible, but that's not what he is under speculation of right now. Right.
Why don't we open up the phone lines? Let's pose that question to the listeners out there. I'll give out the number. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number is 257-5396. Keep in mind that I believe it is Sondland that is going to be testifying on Wednesday. This is not someone with second or third-hand knowledge. I think he was afraid of lying, a few weeks ago when he gave some written testimony.
Rephrased it.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why he did this, he doesn't want to end up like Michael Cohen or many other the people that have worked in the Trump administration that are now in jail. So I think that's why he changed his testimony. I do think he probably lied, and I do think on Wednesday we're going to get the truth. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-257-5396. Again, 257-5396. Agree or disagree. We will gladly take your phone calls and hear from you and give you a voice here. Let's start off with Mike. Mike, you are next on the Vegas Take. What do you think of all this?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Well, Brian, I think you're wrong. I absolutely believe this is fabricated. There's nothing there. No aid was withheld, period. Had nothing to do with political competition. It has everything to do with the corrupt Biden. If you think Trump is worried about beating that moron, you're wrong, Brian. You guys, except for JD, you guys are so wrong on this. There's absolutely zero.
Okay, so let's have a conversation. Hold on, Chris. Let's have a conversation on this, Mike. So you mean to tell me it is your position that Donald Trump bringing up the Bidens in that phone call had zero to do with the fact that Joe Biden is a Democrat and that Joe Biden is running against Donald Trump, and you're saying it has 100% to do with the fact that Trump just cares about corruption? Is that your position?
Absolutely.
And you're calling me the moron?
No, Brian.
No, Mike. You're calling me the moron. Hold on. Let me rephrase that again. You're telling me that I just want to repeat this again. You're telling me that in that phone call with Donald Trump bringing up the Bidens, it had zero to do with the fact that Joe Biden is a Democrat and will be running against Trump in 2020. You're saying it has everything to do with how much Trump cares about corruption. Then let me ask you this. How come Trump didn't care about any corruption in his own administration? Why has Donald Trump not brought up a Republican that supports him? Why has Donald Trump never gone after a Republican that has been caught in corruption scandals that support the president? Please explain.
It's hard to figure out why.
No, it's not hard to figure out. It's hard for you to figure it out. It's not hard to figure out. It's not hard to figure out. It's hard for you to figure out because you're biased, Mike.
Wrong. Our president did the right thing to start a criminal investigation to go after this idiot Biden.
He did? You think so, Mike? Let me ask you a very simple question, Mike. What has Hunter Biden or Joe Biden done wrong when it comes to the Ukraine?
They are in an endless chain of nepotism.
Nepotism. There you go. Nepotism. Okay, nepotism is a crime. Last time I checked, nepotism is not a crime.
You guys are a bunch of lackey dogs robbing us.
Okay, Mike. Hey, let me tell you something.
I'm done with Mike.
There's
I'm done
been
with
no
Mike.
wrongdoing whatsoever. It's been proven that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have done absolutely nothing
Chris,
wrong
we
with
know
respect to
Listen,
Ukraine.
The bottom line is the Mike that we'll call people morons that disagree with him. But I've called people names that disagree with me when they say dumb things. Mike just said he believes there is 0% the reason why Trump brought up Joe Biden and that kind of had nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with the fact that Biden is a Democrat, nothing to do with the fact that Biden is running for president in 2020, and everything to do with corruption. Forgive me for saying this, Mike, but anybody who shares that opinion with you is either completely biased or ignorant or possibly both. 702-257-5396, the number to call, 702-257-5396. Why don't we go to Joel? Joel, you are next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Fact of the matter is, 2 points, please. First point, when this whole telephone call thing came up, Biden was leading Trump in every poll by double digits. So Trump was scared to death of Joe Biden and had to do anything he could to try and bring him down. That's number one. Number two, based on what your last caller said, if in fact Trump is telling the truth, A, why is that entire phone call being hidden in a super secret server? And B, why doesn't Trump let everybody in his administration testify to what they know?
You know what? You bring up some very valid points there, and I'll tell you something. Joel, I think we both know the reason to that, because there was wrongdoing. It was not a perfect call, and he knows what he did was wrong, even though at the time he's probably such a moron. He probably didn't think what he was doing was wrong, and we all know why he's telling specific people not to testify. It's very simple. This isn't hard, right, Joel? If you have nothing to hide, you're going to testify. If you have nothing to hide, you're going to tell members of your administration to get it out there, because if anything, it'll make the Democrats look bad if you're telling the truth, right?
Exactly right. Plus, now Trump is saying, well, I'm thinking really seriously about testifying. Well,
Yeah,
I will
right.
bet you, I will bet you every dollar that I have that within 3 days he changes his mind.
Joel,
And he's going to
I
blame
agree.
Democrats for it.
I agree, Joel. Thank you for the call. We got
thanks for the call, Joel.
plenty of other calls to get to.
And
so
your way, too.
let's try to get to them as much as possible. 257-5396 is the number to call. I believe, even though I have no idea who our next caller is, I'm going to guess it is Steve. Steve, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
What's up, Steve?
Okay, look, as far as the president goes, I don't care how many lies he says. That's her. Now, number two, as long as he comes up to par on certain things, what he wants to do is good. Now, your radio station that you're on now, you have 2 guys there of you, right? You're starting to sound like a bunch of idiots.
And why am I an idiot? What have I said that is not factually accurate? Hold on. No. Yeah, pot him down for a second, because I'm not going to listen to him keep talking after he called me a name. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Steve, and I would like you to be very specific. When I call somebody a moron or an idiot, I have a specific reason. Now, you just called up to the show and called us a name. I would like to give me, this is Brian Shapiro. This is one of the guys that you're talking about.
And Chris Wynn is the other one.
Be specific. What have I said in this conversation?
I don't think you were talking about me. This is JD
What
Sharp.
have I said, Steve? I'm going to pod you back up now. Stick on point, please. What have I said in this conversation that would lead you to believe that I am an idiot?
Well, you're an idiot this way. You go back and forth
Be specific.
for the Republican.
Be specific.
You go back and forth for a Democrat.
Please be specific.
Now,
You're not being
there's a trick to
specific.
each trade.
I'm going to hang up on you unless you're specific. I'm going to give you one more chance, because only an idiot can't make a point that calls into a radio show. So I'm going to give you one more chance. Yes.
You're the idiot
Okay, goodbye.
for-
If you're going to call into a show and you're going to call me a name, I gave you 2 opportunities to be specific. You were unable to do that because you're not able to put 2 sentences together in a clear thought. You're the idiot, sir, with all due respect, not me. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Jennifer. Jennifer, you're next. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Jennifer.
I listened to you, and I feel sorry for AJ there.
Turn your radio down.
Jennifer, can you do me a favor and just turn your radio down, because there's an echo? Yes, we appreciate that. Go ahead.
I just want to tell you that 3 years ago, which you already know, this has been on the news, Joe Biden was telling a conference how he bribed the Ukraine government to fire the prosecutor.
Not true. Not true. That's not factually accurate. That's not true.
He
That's
was
not true.
on tape saying, if you don't fire him, I'm not giving you the
Okay,
billion.
and do you know?
President
Okay,
Trump's job is
it's not true. Do you know the reasoning behind that? You're listening to right-wing talking points.
The prosecutor was, well, actually, you're creating a left-wing talking point, but the prosecutor was perceived to be corrupt, right?
The reason.
They have a history. I mean, even Adam Schiff's campaign has taken money.
Okay,
from
so if you want to do your right-wing conspiracy theories, we can talk about that, Jennifer, maybe at another time. But the bottom line is the reason why Joe Biden wanted this prosecutor fired, and by the way, he stated this, and I find it amusing that you don't know the real facts on this, is because he wasn't going after corruption. That is the reason why he wanted him fired, and he stated that. And then, that is a right-wing talking point that you're bringing up, Jennifer.
Also, and this
Charisma was
so you're not going to address what I said. So you're not going to address what I just said. Can you admit that you're wrong? Silence.
I don't know if I'm wrong. I added to it. Maybe there's more.
You're not fat. Let's put it this way.
I'm not. But
we don't have to call you wrong, but we'll just say you're not factually
All right, Jennifer.
correct.
Look, make no mistake about it, Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer, make no mistake about it. There's a lot of corruption in politics. I think we all could agree on that, right? Can we agree on that, Jennifer? There's a lot of people.
17 minutes after Trump got elected, they said the coup is on. He's going to be.
Who's they?
I don't know who you're talking about. I never did that.
Yeah,
I don't know
who's
who
they.
Washington Post.
Okay, well, I don't speak for the Washington Post. I don't speak for
the lawyer for the so-called whistleblower at third.
All right.
And knowledge.
Jennifer, I don't speak for the Washington Post. I appreciate your opinion. I just disagree with you, but we appreciate the call. 257-5396 is the number to call. I believe our next caller is Dave. Dave, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind? Dave, are you there? 257-5396 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. Of course, talking about the impeachment inquiry, and I'm trying to lay it out for you on the line. What is fact? What is not fact? I don't know if these are impeachable offenses or not, but you have to admit at the very least, what the president did was wrong, and there was politics were involved here. There's no question about that. 257-5396. Let's go to Frank. Frank, you're next.
Brian, do you know why Lincoln was President Hussein's favorite president?
Do I know why? Can you repeat that again?
Saddam Hussein, you're saying? Abraham Lincoln was Saddam Hussein's favorite president?
You don't know Obama's middle name?
All right. Well, you just all right, first of all, you just said Hussein. Okay. So the first thing I think,
said President Hussein.
So the person, by the way, the first person I think of when you say Hussein is Saddam Hussein.
Let me
who was
respond
the president
to Frank
of Iraq. So don't act like
Frank,
you're some sanctimonious.
Let me respond to Frank real quickly. It's President Barack Obama.
Yes.
Okay.
Barack Obama's his name.
So if you're gonna call up and call him President Hussein, then I don't want to hear from you. If you'd like to have a conversation, I'd like to have a conversation. So you've already started this call with zero credibility. Okay, Mr. Hussein, Frank Hussein, would you like to have a real conversation? What is your reason for calling? To call Barack Obama President Hussein? Is that why you called in?
I asked you a question. Do you know the reason why Lincoln was his favorite president?
Well, I'm sure you have the answer because I'm sure you watch InfoWars and go on the InfoWars website every day. So why don't you give me that amazing answer, Mr. Frank Hussein? Go ahead.
But you couldn't even venture to guess.
Go ahead. Give us your stupid reasoning. I can't wait.
You know, the average black man thinks it's because Lincoln freed the slaves. And even though he did, that was the fourth reason.
So we're talking about the impeachment inquiry, and you decide to call into a radio. Hold on, you decide to call into a radio show and talk about why Barack Obama thinks that Lincoln was his favorite president. Would you say you're a little crazy and just a little bit off topic, Frank Hussein? Have a nice day. No, I don't want to hear from you anymore, Hussein. Have a nice day. 257-5396. We're talking about the impeachment inquiry, you dummy. We're not talking about who Barack Obama's favorite president is because maybe Abe Lincoln ended slavery. What the hell does that have to do with Donald Trump? Good grief. 257-5396 is the number to call. Why don't we go to James? James is next. Go ahead, James.
Hey, that was really funny. But anyway, I just got one question. Biden keeps saying that his son was investigated.
Yes.
Is there any way to find out just who investigated that, and can we see that?
Yeah, I don't have that information. What I do know is that the Ukrainians, they started to open up an investigation, and then it was almost immediately closed. The bottom line here is this.
Now, why do you think that was, Brian?
Well, the bottom line here is this.
So you wouldn't call it a thorough investigation. You can't really say that Biden and his son got off scot-free because you don't really know since it wasn't thoroughly investigated.
Let's just say Biden's son is guilty. What would he be guilty of?
I'm just
getting a job because his father was the vice president? That's not against the law.
Obviously, it's nepotism. I understand
it's
that.
not against the law.
But in the transcript,
it was brought up to his to the vice presidency office. So it sounds like the vice president, looked into it.
Let me ask you a question, James.
Here.
James, let me ask you a question. How do you think Hunter broke the law? I'm not talking about something that you might deem to be inappropriate. I'm talking about action, because that's what we should be talking about when you open up this type of investigation, right? Did they break the law? So do you think he broke the law?
I think that he broke the law by getting
Go ahead. We'll wait. Don't worry.
From the president.
Look, the reason why you're straining is because there is nothing there.
Is it possible?
You can't bring up a reason because there's not a reason. That's why. People don't have a reason.
Is it possible that he was getting information from his father and giving it to a different country? Is that possible?
There's no evidence to support that.
There's nothing at all.
What we're talking about is
why is there evidence? Because you just said to yourself, Brian, there was not a thorough investigation.
But what you said, I've never even heard Republicans accusing him of.
I'm just saying hypothetically.
I've never heard that.
I'm not accusing him. I'm saying, is it possible? There's a huge difference.
When Republicans
I guess it's possible.
When
it
Republicans,
is possible, absolutely.
When
the question is, was it a thorough enough investigation?
When Republicans bring this up,
and the answer, you stated very, very eloquently, is no, it wasn't thorough. It was stopped almost immediately, Brian.
Let's go to Rick.
So maybe Trump was like, why was this stopped almost immediately?
I only got about a minute and a half, so let's try to take another quick call. Let's go to Rick. Rick, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. First of all, name calling is unacceptable if you disagree with somebody in any regard. Just number one.
I disagree. If somebody's racist, I'm going to call them a racist and an idiot. If somebody swears at me for no reason, I'm going to call them a moron. If somebody calls up, if somebody calls up when I'm talking about the impeachment inquiry and they call Barack Obama Mr. Hussein and they talk about how he thinks, Lincoln is the great president because he ended slavery, I'm going to call that person a jackass.
You didn't know President Obama's middle name was Hussein?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay. All right. I do, and I'm more.
And I apologize. I only have about 45 seconds, so I'm going to shut up now. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead. All right. Anyways, what I was saying is, yes, I am more of a right-leaning person, but I'm kind of a centrist. But anyone would have to agree that it's a dubious phone call at best.
Right.
Or at least, but that's for the courts to decide.
Sure.
And with Biden's son, who doesn't do that? And you're right, it's not illegal. Is it immoral? Maybe a little. He should earn his spot, but he even admitted that his last name got him places. So he even admitted to that.
Yep.
And third of all, let the impeachment process work its way out.
Sure.
And if he's not guilty, he's not guilty. And if it's a high crime misdemeanor, which I don't think it is, but it's not good.
And that's fair.
I don't think it's impeachable in my opinion.
Well, and Rick, I respect your opinion, and that's very fair, and I agree with everything you said. Let's let this thing play out. Rick, I do appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
You take care.
All right, you too. We'll try to maybe squeeze in a few more calls coming back, but we got to take a quick break. We got to get to some sports stuff going on too, and of course. There's a story also about this guy who claims he lost his job on a conservative station because he was bashing Trump. Well, the station's saying something different. We'll discuss that as well. C-Win in studio. He's J.D. Sharp. I'm Brian Shapiro. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. We are listening to the Vegas Take.
So what would you do with an extra $500 a month in your budget? $500. This isn't hypothetical, by the way. This is something you may need to think about very soon if you decide to become a member of MediShare. MediShare is a way to pay for your health care, and typically it costs $500 less per month for a family versus other health care plans. So seriously, think about this. You could pay off loans, pay down a mortgage, save the money for retirement, donate to charity. That would be a big deal. But you know what? Here's the best thing. MediShare works. It's a Christian healthcare sharing ministry with 400,000 members. They've shared over $2 billion in medical bills, so they can help share your needs too. And with MediShare, not only do you save, you don't have to pay for things you don't believe in. And that's a beautiful thing too. So here's how you can find out more, and you might actually wind up saving even more than $500 a month. So check into it. 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
Wherever you are, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, the talk of Las Vegas, is with you. All the news you need, Facebook and Twitter feeds all in one place. Plus KDWN streaming 24/7. Download the KDWN app from the App Store on iTunes or Google Play. 101.5 FM, 720 AM. The talk of Las Vegas.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? if being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. Because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group station.
Was it perjury? High court delay. I'm Mike Moss. Lawyers for House Democrats told a judge today they want the grand jury testimony from the Robert Mueller Russia investigation because they're looking into whether the president lied in his written deposition to Mueller. Correspondent Pamela Brown reports the probe centers on what the president knew in advance about the release by WikiLeaks of hacked Hillary Clinton emails, an issue brought to light by the conviction of Roger Stone for lying and witness tampering.
Rick Gates, who was part of the campaign, had testified that the president had just gotten off the phone with Roger Stone and told him that more information would be coming. He also said that Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman, had been briefing the president about efforts to get the WikiLeaks emails. Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin.
Of course, it's a crime to lie to federal prosecutors in the course of a federal proceeding. That's perjury. It was also the basis for the GOP-controlled House's impeachment of Bill Clinton for lying under oath.
Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts is ordering an indefinite delay in the House of Representatives' demand for President Trump's financial records. It follows a filing by the House earlier today in which it agreed to a brief halt for the orderly filing of legal briefs while opposing any lengthy delay. California is suing the nation's biggest e-cigarette maker, alleging Juul Labs deliberately targeted teens with its early marketing campaigns. The lawsuit filed today by California's Attorney General is the latest in a long line of legal action against Juul. A shooting in the parking lot at a Duncan, Oklahoma Walmart today has left 3 people dead. Police say 2 victims and the gunman are dead. An investigation is underway into what happened. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 24 points, S&P up 1. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by In-N-Out Burger. An accident on the 95 northbound at Rainbow Boulevard, vehicles off right. And also watch for debris on I-15 northbound just north of Spring Mountain Road. And again, an accident reported on Blue Diamond eastbound at Jones Boulevard. On the surface streets elsewhere, Maryland Parkway at Flamingo, police and fire on scene for a crash. Injury sustained at that location. In-N-Out Burger, fresh fact, nothing is frozen. Everything is delivered fresh to every restaurant. Beef, buns, and produce, because fresh is what it's all about. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
For more than a year, the whole of Vermont was captivated by the hunt for a runaway golden retriever. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press, available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
Are your investment dollars really going to work for you? The average Vestar Tech client gets 78% annual returns. That's right, 78% annual returns for over 2 decades with a recession-proof investment class they just started offering to the public. And for a limited time, you can begin enjoying these amazing annual returns. Call now for more info and to take advantage of 6 months absolutely free. This offer won't last, so call now at 888-88-PROFIT. Call Vestar Tech now. That's 888-88-PROFIT.
People get excited. I mean, crazy excited about Black Friday sales. They love saving money. Hi, I'm Dave Mizrahi, owner of Best Mattress, and I'm about to save you a ton of it at our Black Friday sale. Our biggest and best sale of the year. Get a free adjustable base when you buy a queen mattress for $5.99 or more. Plus, we've got all the best brands: Serta, Sealy, Beautyrest, Stearns & Foster, and Tempur-Pedic, and up to 72 months no interest financing. Best Mattress. Sleep easy, friends. See store for details.
Hi,
Hi, this is Sabrina Chapman inviting you to join me every Sunday from noon to 12:30 p.m. for my new show, Mommy's Meetings and Mimosas. We'll be interviewing the leading Las Vegas ladies that are handling business and motherhood like a boss. Only on 101.5 FM, 720 KDON.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Hey, I'm Reagan, and I am Westar Credit Union. You may not have heard of us, and that's okay. Our team has the same products and services you'd find at one of the bigger banks, and we're small enough to know you by name. At Westar, we're not about flashy football TV ads or big intimidating voiceovers. We're here for you. Wherever you are on your financial journey, Westar Credit Union is where you matter. Check us out at westar.org/join.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse pre-diabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
720 on the AM, 101.5 FM. Yeah, now on FM. The only FM news talk station in Las Vegas. KDON.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. Rolling out hour number 3. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, C. Wynn joining us on a Monday. Glad you could join us as well. We appreciate it. And we're going to be getting to UNLV stuff, football, basketball, and we'll be talking some hoops later on with Jamison Welsh. But I want to start with this story, which I find to be very, very interesting. It is a Denver talk radio show host who was on a conservative station. His name is Craig Silverman. He's been doing a weekly show there for 5 years, and he decided to blast the president a little bit. Nothing egregious, nothing worse than what I would say when I talk about Donald Trump, but he was attacking the president a little bit. I shouldn't even say attacking, just criticizing him on certain issues when it comes to this impeachment inquiry. He claimed on his Facebook page that the program director walked in the middle of the segment and fired him. So he has lost his job. Now, here is this guy's response. Again, his name is Craig Silverman, and he was on a station called 710 KNUS. This is right along the Denver area. It's a very small AM station. It's a 5,000-watt station. To give you an idea what that is, well, this is a 50,000-watt station. Small station. So here's his response after being fired. This is Craig Silverman in his own words.
Well, look, every host makes a decision about the content of their show. When you try to have a discussion, you come into words like sham, hoax, or let's talk about Horowitz, Huber, or Durham. I said, that's interesting. You can get plenty of that elsewhere. But on my show, we're going to talk about Ukraine and this impeachment hearing and the facts and what the president is saying that does not add up.
Well, let me be very clear. I feel really horrible for this guy because it really sounds to me like he has a great radio voice. Yes. And I got to tell you, anybody that talks like this and is attacking the president, to me, this guy has a tremendous amount of credibility. Okay, I'll stop talking like that. Anyway, listen, he sounds horrible, but, that's just my opinion.
And I think rubbing it in was great. I think that was really cool, Brian.
Well, listen, I feel really bad for this guy. Taste. I feel horrible for this guy.
Clearly.
Anyway, welcome back to the Vegas Take. I'm Brian Shapiro. It's the Sharp and Shapiro Show. We got C. Wynn in studio. Boy, that Trump, he's something else, isn't he? What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this impeachment inquiry? It's crazy. It's ridiculous. Anyway, okay, all right. So let's get to the media.
The only appropriate response I have is, "Did I do that?"
Hey,
you didn't do that.
Good call. You do that a lot. You do that all the
He
time.
does do that.
Somebody could call me the worst vile name in the world, and as I hang up on them, and
we'll say that was that was an outstanding.
I would say that's an amazing phone call. I respect your opinion.
Can we please get
please
back?
call it again.
Can we please get back to this Craig Silverman guy?
It does not add up.
No, it doesn't add up at all.
Okay. Anyway, can you imagine? By the way, this guy at a bar, trying to get some digits.
Hello there, young lady. Boy, you're looking very beautiful today. Can I get that number? Can we talk about Donald Trump? Can I get those digits?
I mean, really, I feel bad for him. When you have a voice like that, that's got to make things very difficult. I give this guy a lot of credit for being on the radio. That's not easy to have a voice like that and be on the air. That's brutal. Anyway, we're getting a little in the weeds.
But there is a topic to discuss,
there is, right?
Regarding him getting bounced.
All right, quiet. Let's get to the topic.
I would like to hear Steve Urkel on air, though.
Let's get
at some point.
Let's get to the topic at hand.
So this guy was fired. Now, the radio station is claiming something very different. Okay, the general manager of the station has made some public comments. Now, when I first heard this story, I said, this is weird, right? Unless you really say something egregious, you're not going to be fired unless you like if you called them a Klan member or something. Okay, I would say, all right, that makes sense. He didn't go that far. So the general manager of the station, his name is Brian Taylor. He said that he decided that it was important to work across town. He's talking about this host. So he's claiming that this host went on other shows on other competing stations when he was asked not to do that. He is an employee of the radio station. He is an independent contractor. And with that being said, if that did happen, then that completely changed the narrative of this story. It doesn't make sense to me. He also said anyone has the right to speak their mind and their opinion on Donald Trump, that the station does not tell them what they can or cannot say when it comes to the president. So somebody's lying here, and I'm actually going to take the side of the station. It makes absolutely no sense to me that they would fire somebody because you criticize Donald Trump. I think there could be a lawsuit there if that did happen. So I'm going to side with the station here. What do you guys think?
I think you're on point, and I would lean towards your perspective there. I also would think it wouldn't be genuine for us if we didn't point out that Salem Broadcast Networks is a station that is considered conservative and also promotes and targets Christian values listeners. So that's
it's the largest Christian network
exactly
in the United States.
So let's make sure that that's out there so that this isn't some left-wing liberal radio station, okay?
No.
That we're
are you sure he was a employee of the station, or is he an independent?
He's an independent
so
contractor.
That's not an employee of the station.
I misspoke on that.
So obviously they had an agreement on what he can and cannot discuss, but based on
don't know if that's true.
But based on what his voice sounded like, I think they were just looking for an excuse to get him off air.
I've got Craig.
And they found something very thin in order to do that.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Craig Silverman, and I've got a lifetime amount of helium in studio. Come on and join me.
I said that's interesting. You can get plenty of that elsewhere.
You can. Yes.
Because think about it, right? Brian and JD, Brian and I, we've been in radio for a long time. We never heard this type of scenario take place where a radio host would be smack dab in the middle of their show, and the program director or anybody for that matter, the higher ups would come in and say, by the way, you're out of here. Right in the middle of the guy's show. It doesn't make any sense.
Somebody's lying. It doesn't make sense. Could you imagine if this guy was a basketball coach or a football coach?
Get back, play defense. Get back. That's not a foul. It's not a foul.
Anyway, okay, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back after this. We want to talk a little bit UNLV football and why C-Win decided to go shirtless on the field next to the cheerleaders at the UNLV game. It was the worst sight I've ever seen in my life. And I would argue that, we'll get to that. We'll get to that coming up next. We'll talk a little football with the boys and get to this UNLV basketball game tonight at the Thomas & Mack Center. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You are listening to The Vegas Take.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Your dental benefits may expire soon, and now's the perfect time to use them before they do. AQ Dental Services has the experience and on-site lab to help make your smile reflect a new and improved you. AQ Dental has an on-site tooth designer, 3D scanner, and they can craft the smile of your dreams. teams. Make an appointment today at 702-565-6000. If you have a problem with your teeth and you don't know what to do, pick up the phone and call AQ. 702-565-6000. 702-565-6000. Or visit aqdentureservice.com.
Hi, this is Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now. We are saying farewell to Tuesdays at 9 a.m. and moving to Saturdays at 11 a.m. Please do tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. and learn about real estate right here on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally, so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
I really didn't feel safe anymore at home.
Every year, tens of thousands of youth experience homelessness.
The possibility of sleeping out on a park bench, it's not something that a 15-year-old should have to think about.
1-800-RUNAWAY provides 24-hour access to a nationwide network of housing and support services.
I felt such warmth, I felt comfort, I felt safe.
Call 1-800-RUNAWAY. Go to 1-800-RUNAWAY.org or text 66008. We can end youth homelessness.
I'm Ben Utek. I played high school, college, and pro football, helping my team win the 2006 championship. It was an amazing day, but it can't compare to the joy I feel every day with my loving wife and 3 beautiful daughters. My football career ended after I suffered my 5th concussion. Did you know that over 1 million athletes suffer a concussion each year? That includes boys and girls, every age, every type and level of sport. It isn't always clear that a player has had a concussion. So parents, athletes, and coaches need to learn about concussion signs and symptoms. The American Academy of Neurology recommends athletes thought to have a concussion be immediately removed from play and not returned until assessed by a healthcare professional trained in concussion. This isn't just about sports. It's about your brain. When in doubt, sit it out. Learn more at aan.com/concussion. That's aan.com/concussion. A message from the American Academy of Neurology.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
That's interesting. You can get plenty of that elsewhere.
Hello. Hello, welcome back. It's the Vegas Tank, Sharp and Shapiro. Little nasal today.
My PD came in and let me go during the show.
Jeez, I wonder why you sound great on the radio. Anyway, welcome back to the show. It is the Vegas Take. C-Win joining us in studio, along with our producer, Steiny. That is Jason Stein. And we all went to the UNLV football game over the weekend against Hawaii. Look, there are some morons that are saying that you should bring Sanchez back for another year and that look at everything he's done. There are some people, some of whom I was listening to for my 2-minute commute to work today, that defend him, and I don't even want to go there. It's just so ridiculous to even bring up that person's name. But anyway, UNLV loses 21-7 against Hawaii. Hawaii basically gave them every opportunity to win the game, and they were terrible. Offensively, the defense was good, but offensively they couldn't get anything going. But even on a more important note, when you have a media credential,
yes,
you're allowed to be on the field. And it's
we were.
Yeah, and I enjoy being on the field because not only a few feet away from the action, you get to hear the coaches and you get to soak it all in.
And the fans see you and they think you're important.
Well, no, that's certainly maybe some members of the media. I don't care about that stuff. But I enjoy being on the field. It's a lot of fun. So myself, C-Win, and Jason were all on the field for the game, and it's really warm, right? It was a really nice day. It was like
unseasonably warm.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. We didn't expect it to be up there.
So C-Win decides to wear jeans, shoes, and 2 shirts. And I look at him and I say, God, you're going to be sweating like a pig.
He was layered.
Yeah. So what does Seawin do? Keep in mind, we're on the field. We're a few feet away from all the UNLV cheerleaders. He doesn't give us any warning. And Stein, take it away from there.
He took it off. He took it all off.
He was shirtless.
In all my glory.
He was completely...
I didn't anticipate it. I thought it was going to be, seasonably around 60, 65. Not the case. It was pushing 80 degrees. As Brian pointed out, I had a T-shirt on. By the way, I had a T-shirt and a button-down shirt on because you know me. I like to roll professional at times because I'm in the media and I am covering this team.
Hang on.
But I'm still on the sidelines, okay?
Let me just...
And I made the decision, you know what? I don't need this T-shirt. I got to get rid of the T-shirt. So, yes, I proceed to ply it off.
Skinless.
Okay? I was shirtless for a little bit. Didn't want to go with the, completely, just bare-chested with my media credential on.
Can I say,
the rest of the game?
Let me say this to
so
you.
I had to throw on the button down.
Not
back
that I
on.
want to describe your physique because I'm going to throw up.
I'm stocky.
But there were times where you lose weight, and
I do.
This is not one of those times. I'm not trying to be mean, but your stomach was out there. You looked like you were 6 months pregnant, and it was bad. Okay?
I'm in the time of my life where I kind of bounce back and forth between certain weights.
You're not at the Chris Farley stage yet, but you might be getting there.
Something that we can all relate to. Was this game nationally televised, by the way?
It should have been.
I believe it was. So there's cheerleaders, and I'm not exaggerating here. There are UNLV cheerleaders,
5 feet away.
Beautiful women.
Yes.
Probably about 30 or 40 of them.
And a couple of them looked over, and I saw them. They looked over, and then they completely...
They averted their eyes.
They pretended like they didn't see what you were doing. And then I told one of the girls to help him figure out how to do a backflip.
You mean it wasn't like they were looking over and looking at Zac Efron or someone of that stature?
Let me ask this.
No,
it was more like...
They might have gotten the picture in their brain of Zac Efron standing next to Seth Rogen and you being Seth Rogen.
Exactly.
Seth Rogen is in better shape right now.
It makes sense. Yes.
You had a button-down long-sleeve kind of dress shirt.
Exactly.
Then the T-shirt underneath that. Here's my question. Why not take off the dress shirt and leave the T-shirt, thus sparing everybody from having to see your
because it wasn't a fine designer white.
Question.
I'll answer the question because it wasn't a fine designer white T-shirt like JD wears in studio every day. Okay, it was a kind of a textbook. I think it was a Miller Lite like T-shirt, and by the way, it was a little small. Okay,
so you're telling me
I think it was a large, and I'm an extra large kind of guy.
I have to respond to that. I go to Target and I spend about $15 per white shirt that I have. It's called the Hanes Black Label.
I like it.
Brand.
Thank you for letting us know.
And I wouldn't call it designer.
Hey, it does have you do have a kind of a Gucci look with your T-shirts here, my friend.
Hold on. As much as I would love to do an hour on where JD shops.
Hey, I'm in. We could talk about the Target on Flamingo. West
Flamingo.
You started the ball rolling, Brian.
Hold on.
Okay, so
I'm ready to roll.
And the ball continues to roll.
Let's keep it going.
Let me explain this. Explain this to me. You're telling me you didn't mind the embarrassment of showing your disgusting stomach and chest.
All right, let's not go that far. It wasn't. I feel like Jason Patrick in Sleepers. Okay, it wasn't that bad. Okay,
hold on, let me finish.
It wasn't that bad.
You would rather take your shirt off in front of a bunch of beautiful women than to wear a T-shirt that might have I don't know, a Bud Light sign on it or something. Is that your position?
Well, I think that's a loaded question. I think that it can be both, right? I can say I'm hot. And I want to take off this T-shirt because I think the T-shirt makes me more hotter than the button-down that
Is it
that
fair
breathes.
to say? Is it fair to say?
The button-down with the buttons unbuttoned, so
is
it
it
was
fair
loose,
to
it was
say?
free, it was nice.
Is it fair to say that your boobs could possibly be bigger than some of the beautiful women that were standing on the field?
Well, I don't think that's a speculation or a question. That's probably a fact, right? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody that was there, but I'm just stating, the way it is.
Would you say you're a B, like a full B?
No.
Like what's your cup size?
See, now you guys are getting me motivated to go make a run over to the gym today,
which
after the
which
show.
is good. It's bad because Brian is actually like legitimately taking satisfaction in your suffering.
Yeah, I am. In about 6 weeks, I'm going to come back in the studio and Adonis, and I'm just going to shame all of you.
I do appreciate you being motivated and inspired to lose weight.
That's the plan right now.
Well,
so despite the fact that it's coming from a terrible place from Brian, a horrible
Excuse me,
place from Brian.
Chris is not being.
It's going to work out for
He's
Chris.
going to say he's motivated, and he'll go to the gym, and then he's going to knock down some nachos and cheese, some pizza, some ribs. This guy is not. If he was truly,
I'm going to go back to the house. There's going to be barbecue going on. There's going to be nice. There's going to be some outstanding cheeseburgers waiting for me. Right?
Make no
Brian,
mistake about it.
You know the deal.
I'm not on the front of Fitness Magazine either. Okay, I'm not saying that I am. My diet is horrible. Okay? But what I wouldn't do is take my shirt off in front of a bunch of beautiful women on a football field on national television.
Let's be clear. I think it was trying to it was a downplay type of deal. I was in the corner. I wasn't
television?
Let's put it this way. I wasn't standing on the 50-yard line, okay, taking off my shirt, okay, at Sam Boyd Stadium.
The crack of your ass was showing. It's all hairy.
It was like that Seinfeld episode where George was at the U.S. Open and he was eating that sundae, and they put him on national TV, and he had chocolate sauce all over his face, and all his friends saw it, and then the woman that he was dating wouldn't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Okay, you probably lost a couple of dates off.
I could be wrong on this,
but Brian, that was not national television. I couldn't find the game on any local network.
I could be wrong on this, but I did see
Someone
a couple
was
of very attractive.
It was not on TV.
I did see a couple of very attractive Hawaiian girls that were fans on the other side that were throwing up. Now, I'm not blaming you for that. I'm just saying it could be a possibility. I don't know. All right, let's get to the game.
There were a lot of Hawaiian fans.
Were they throwing up because of UNLV's play, Brian? That's the question.
A little bit of both. Let's talk about that. So first of all, let's start with the fan base, which I blast UNLV all the time, for not supporting these teams. But the Hawaiian fans travel. There's estimated about 8,000 fans from Hawaii that were at this game, and they were loud, and they were boisterous, and they were into it. You know what? That's what I want to see from the UNLV fans, whether it's a basketball game or a football game. I don't care if they're drunk. They didn't say anything that was like over the top, get the hell out of here. But they were harsh on the UNLV team. And, that's the way our home fans should be. Okay? I'm not saying assault somebody or swear, but they were having a good time, these people from Hawaii. They were actually quite entertaining to listen to. They were going after the referees and UNLV, and they were really into the game. And I think that's the only reason why Hawaii won the game, because they looked completely disinterested in the first half. I think the score was 7-7. One touchdown for UNLV. Oblad, and I try not to blast this kid, but he was atrocious. You can make the argument this was the worst game he had in his career. So now UNLV loses the fourth straight game in a row. Is there any chance, gentlemen, any chance that Francois brings Tony Sanchez back? What do the Fertittas say? Here's a $20 million check for the university. Bring him back another year. Is there any chance that happens, guys?
I don't see why the Fertittas would do that when you could spend $20 million and get a relatively decent brand name coach for $4 million a year on a 5-year deal. So, I mean, hypothetically, first of all, that's never going to take place, Brian, but it's pretty clear to me at this point that Tony Sanchez is just outclassed at the college level. He doesn't know how to respond in the second half. He doesn't know how to adjust in particular games. At Bishop Gorman, he always had the best talent. Here, he doesn't have the best talent. He was never behind at half. Now he's behind at half. There's just a lot of things that a college coach needs to be able to do that he's never had to do. And it's not his fault, but he's never had to do at the high school level.
Let me ask you a question, and I don't disagree with that. I agree.
I mean, how can you disagree with it?
T.J. Altenberger, I just want to quickly ask you a question about the UNLV basketball.
A quick transition.
He had one of the best players in the country at South Dakota State, who, by the way, he didn't recruit, but he had one of the best. And everybody talked about...
Well, he developed him, though. There's a big difference.
I spoke to several D1 coaches over the weekend. Not going to say who they were. But I asked him, what do you think about TJ's offense? He's been known as an offensive specialist. And I said, listen, these first couple games that they've given away, the offense just did not look very good. It didn't look like there was a lot of continuity. And 2 of those 3 coaches gave me this response. They said that, listen, when you have one of the best players in the country at South Dakota State, your offense could look great. When you have a guy that can shoot from anywhere, inside and outside, it's going to make the coach look like a genius. He doesn't have that luxury this year. And while he has some good players, he's going to have to work harder. And so 2 of these coaches, in a way, were blasting him in a way. And look, I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of South Dakota State basketball.
Well, let's put it this way. If Clemson didn't have Trevor Lawrence, if Duke didn't have Trey Jones and 4 5-stars, if Calipari didn't have 8 5-stars, if Bama doesn't have Tua, I mean, you have to have
these
good.
These are distinguished coaches that have won for a long time.
I get that, but you have to have good players regardless to win. You have to have.
You don't
talent.
think UNLV has good players?
They have some, but they don't. Obviously, they don't have a Mike Dahmer or David Jenkins.
Right, but you don't think,
and they have no depth whatsoever.
They don't have depth,
and they were on the road. I mean, we'll see them back at home. I don't think you can call Altenberger a not a great coach because
I didn't say that.
Well, okay, you said that they were kind of blasting
There's
him.
concerns. I wasn't the one that was blasting him. Here's what I said.
The team goes 7 deep.
Here's what
they
I
have
said.
maybe 3 guys that can score.
Here's what I say about UNLV basketball right now. I think you'll learn a lot with a coach and what he does in the final 5 minutes of a game. All I can tell you is this. They looked like a deer in headlights when they played Cal. When Cal switched to his zone, they were not prepared. They were horrible down the stretch. They gave away the Kansas State game. And the reason why they gave that away is down the stretch. They couldn't execute down the stretch. I think that, some of their plays offensively, they didn't look good to me. What I can tell you is it's early into the season, But this isn't rebuilding. Stop it with that BS. They've been rebuilding for 10 years since they got rid of Lon Kruger. I'm tired of hearing that. T.J. Otzelberger is the highest paid coach in the Mountain West Conference. Earn your money, win. Now, it's very early. I would hope that they're going to get better, but this is a bad start because they gave away a couple games that, in my opinion, they should have won.
But they were competitive in those games.
That's not
beyond
being competitive against Cal.
And then facing UNLV was relevant 30 years ago, Brian. How do you
No, that's not true. They were relevant.
Yes,
they were relevant.
They were
No, that's
nationally.
not true.
No, mid-2000s
they were nationally relevant 30 years ago.
They were relevant.
They weren't. What
made it
was
Sweet
their
16.
They were in the Sweet 16.
No, what was their highest ranking though during the regular season?
I'm going to answer that.
13th or 14th.
13th or 14th.
JD.
And how many times did that last? Like 1 year, 2 years?
No, you're not. Let me explain. I was here
I'm
during
just
the Lon
saying
Kruger days.
they're not consistently nationally relevant.
You
talk about Cal. Cal is a Pac-12
we gotta
program.
take a break.
It's a Power 5 program. UNLV's in the Mountain West. It's not even a conversation.
I will
at this
respond
point.
to what you said by saying Lon Kruger was consistently getting into the NCAA tournament. Lon Kruger was winning Mountain West Conference championships. Lon Kruger got them to the Sweet 16, and Lon Kruger won a lot of basketball games.
That doesn't make
they
them,
were relevant.
That does not make them nationally relevant.
Okay,
Brian.
UNLV
Final Four, Elite Eight championships. UNLV was nationally relevant in 1990, 1991, the years before that.
Okay. They weren't winning national championships with Lon Kruger this year, but they absolutely were nationally relevant because they were one of the top teams or the top team in the Mountain West Conference.
You could say they were a winning program, but they were not nationally relevant.
Okay, well, I disagree with you on that one. I don't think they're nationally relevant now, but they certainly were during the Lon Kruger era. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll ask Jamison Walsh that, our hoops guru from Drive Time Sports, coming up next, and also really cool stuff that happened in the Lakers game. We'll get to that with Jamison coming up next and take a quick break.
The impeachment inquiry will hear from EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland, who played a key role in carrying out the president's request that Ukraine investigate Trump rivals to get U.S. military aid released. Correspondent Kylie Atwood reports Sondland may have left an email trail.
The senior Russia director at the National Security Council, he said this in his testimony before lawmakers. He said, he related to me, he being Ambassador Gordon Sondland, that he was discussing these matters with the president. Therefore, he was told by Sondland that he was calling up President Trump to discuss these investigations.
Secretary of State Pompeo is expected to rebut long-standing State Department policy that Israeli settlements in occupied territories violate international law. He's expected to say the U.S. no longer considers the settlements inconsistent with international law. On Wall Street, the Dow is up about 30 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads in the KDON Traffic Center.
This report sponsored by Indeed.com. Watch for slowing for the crash on the 95 northbound at Rainbow Boulevard. Vehicles off to the right. An accident with injury sustained reported on Maryland Parkway at Flamingo. Watch for police and fire staged at the scene. And again, emergency crews with an injury crash on Blue Diamond eastbound at Jones Boulevard. They may be slowing in lane restrictions. Are you hiring? With Indeed, you can post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates in an online dashboard. Get started at Indeed.com/hire. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Are you taking Cialis or Viagra? Marley Drug has generics of both for just $12 per tablet. That's a savings of $60 per dose. Marley Drug is an independent pharmacy delivering generic Cialis and Viagra to your door for $12 per tablet. Call Marley Drug at 800-870-4787. That's 800-870-4787. Again, 800-870-4787.
And now more Straight Talk from Straight Talk. The big wireless guys try to saddle you with expensive wireless plans because that's how they earn big commissions.
Saddled? What am I, a horse?
No, you are not. That's why with Straight Talk Wireless, you get our unlimited plan for just $45 a month with 25 gigs at high speeds. No contract, no saddle.
Oh, like a wild wireless stallion.
Uh-huh, sure. Switch today and get America's best networks for up to half the cost. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See straighttalk.com.
Parents, you always say you want what's best for your children. If that's the case, then you should be bringing your kid to Infinity, the Math Institute, where every student earns an A or B in math. Our results are proven and they are amazing. The best tutoring service for the best price, whether online or in person, small group or one-on-one. You cannot get better results. Great grades will come when your child truly understands the math. From elementary math to calculus, we have the best tutors, the best materials, and the best results. Now offering free parent seminars on how to better help your child, what is Common Core, and more. Find out why parents are bragging and students are enjoying school again by calling 702-768-1777. That's 702-768-1777, or visit themathinstitute.com today. Tell them the Vegas Take sent you, because at Infinity, you don't get more math problems, you get solutions.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
The Las Vegas Health and Fitness Chamber, a nonprofit organization, offers many membership benefits to both business and individuals. Reach us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or on the website, VegasHealthFitnessChamber.com.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
I could play today, I'd be out there. I love it. I'm just saying.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro with C-Win joining us in studio. So glad you could join us. By the way, on a quick note before we get to our guest. So Cory Booker, as you know, he's a presidential candidate on the Democratic side, and he's made some appearances in Nevada, and our producers reached out to them, and we've tried to get him on the show, and they've declined. Because, you know, why would you want to go on a local show in Las Vegas and get your point across when you're getting less than 1% of the vote in the state, right? Why would you want to do that? We just saw him on the Wendy Williams show this morning, so I'm sure that will really help his poll numbers in Nevada. So
major boost, right?
Great
all
job,
kinds of action.
Great job by the Booker buffoon campaign. Great job, guys. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Maybe you'll get to 1.5% in the polls. So thank you, Cory, for your time. We really appreciate that. I'm sure Wendy Williams really appreciates it too. All right, so quickly, let's get to some hoops. UNLV, NBA, and it's been a little while since we had this guy on the show, and he is our hoops guru himself. He is from Drive Time Sports, and he is Jamison Walsh. Jamison, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's about damn time. It's been a while.
It has been a while since you came on. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate that.
I totally agree, James.
So before we get to the NBA, let's start and talk a little college hoops. UNLV struggled, the basketball program, giving away a few games. Kansas State at Cal. I thought that was a really tough loss for them. I don't think anybody really truly expected them to beat UCLA, but how do you make of the TJ Otzelberger era so far and what has taken place?
It's off to a little bit of a rough start because, as you mentioned, the two games, the game versus Cal, especially that game, they had no business losing that game. And in the game versus Kansas State, both those were winnable games, and they lost. And those are the games that if you get, those are big momentum games that kind of set the tone for the season. And you lose, and it's like, oh, here we go again. You hope that the team builds on, you hope they build on some of the performances they've had. But the UCLA game, they weren't even close. That's the game. And UCLA's not even that good this year. I know the name is going to get people, but the team of UCLA is nowhere near as what it usually is. So we'll see what happens going forward. I'm very interested to see what happens in conference play. But hopefully they do improve as the season goes on.
I spoke to a few D1 coaches that said, look, and TJ, he had one of the top players in the country at South Dakota State. So anybody's offense will look good if you got a guy that can do things from the inside and the outside, create for himself, create for others. He doesn't have that luxury at UNLV. He doesn't have that type of player. Do you agree with that?
To an extent. I mean, Hardy's a good player. Donnie Tillman from Utah is a good player as well. So, I mean, there's talent. There's talent there. I mean, the thing I would say is, like any other coach, give it time. Like, I'm not a big fan of firing coaches in 2 years in or anything like that, especially when he took over a roster that was, it was what it was. I do think there is some talent on the roster. It wasn't like the first, it wasn't like the first year of the Menzies there where it was really bad.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's one of those situations where I think any first-year coach should get time. And I think there's some promise there, but again, some of those games you got to, especially Cal.
I agree.
That game you got to pull away.
Yeah, they had to. I agree. It's not time to panic, but I think we all agree it was not off to a great start as far as wins and losses and throwing away a few games that you probably should have won. Okay, Jameson, let's talk about your expertise, which is the NBA, and let's start with the Lakers last night. I thought it was a really cool moment to see Kobe Bryant courtside with his daughter sitting there. Had a nice little chit-chat with LeBron James and Dwight Howard, who they haven't always gotten along, him and Dwight Howard. So I thought that was really cool. A lot of people were kind of reading his lips saying, hey, it's good to see you here. It's good to see you. And I thought that was really a nice moment. LeBron had a great game last night. He played really well in front of Kobe and the fans. And, they played against a horrible team, right, in the Atlanta Hawks. But, look, I just thought it was a great moment for the Lakers and the Laker family to see Kobe there. Talk a little bit about that moment. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a good moment. I mean, whenever you have one of the best players ever play, if not the best, that's always, it's always a good moment. And you have a team that's doing really well. If the Lakers were 3-7, the moment wouldn't be the same. But they're a really good team right now. They have a really good record, playing very well, especially on the defensive end, which is always a good sign. So they're in good shape. I mean, when you're winning, everything's good. When you're winning, everything is roses and everybody's getting along. Everyone's happy, even though its offense isn't clicking like it probably should. But, with that being said, it's still mid-November, so it's still early, it's still time and whatnot. But it is a good sign, though, because a lot of times whenever you overhaul a roster, you change 8 or 9 guys on the roster, you're going to see some issues early, and there really hasn't been. I mean, you look at the team, look at their situation, everyone pretty much knows their roles and they're settled fairly well. So this is a good situation. If they can stay healthy, they have a good shot of being a top 3 seed out west.
So the other team in Los Angeles, obviously the Clippers, Jameson, and there's been this discussion here early on in the NBA season about time management, right, and whether or not guys should be sitting out games, and whether or not they have a legitimate injury or not, and what the case is with that. I got to get your perspective because it's my opinion that this is something that's kind of just transpired necessarily, basically in the past 5 years where we've had a focus on it, and to me, I don't think it's something that's very good for the NBA, given that. Look, if you're injured, you're injured. You can't play, in my opinion, okay? But if you're sitting out games because you have some type of mental block in your head where you think there's a gas tank on your body and it's somehow going to, you have a better chance of getting injured because you play in a back-to-back is just something that is foreign to me, given someone who grew up in the era of the, late 70s, 80s, and 90s NBA like I did. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this entire time management situation in the NBA.
I feel you completely. As a fan, I'm not a big fan of it because you want to watch your guys play. You want to watch your favorite players play. Mm-hmm. However, big picture, especially if your team's contending, like if your team's winning 25 games, I don't need to hear about load management. Like, that's not where we're at with this thing. Like, you need to play as many games as possible. But if your team's going to be playing in May and June, I get it. Like, I understand. So, for instance, back in the day, the Pistons went to 3 straight finals in a row, if I'm not mistaken, 88, 89, and 90.
Yes.
And went to the conference finals in 91. If they would have had some load management mixed in there, who knows what happens?
I mean, think about this, though. Can you imagine, though, Michael Jordan playing for the Bulls and say he goes up to Detroit and plays a Tuesday game against the Pistons, and then on Wednesday they've got a matchup with the Cavaliers at the Richfield Coliseum, right? The very next night. And can you imagine the Bulls and Jordan saying, you know what? We're going to sit down Michael Jordan because we need to rest him on this back-to-back because we're worried about the playoffs 4 or 5 months down the line. You understand where I'm going here, Jameson?
Oh, no. I know. I understand completely. I see arguments for, and I see arguments on both sides. And my thing is this: I get it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I get it. However, we've seen guys' bodies break down because you're playing 82 games in a 6-month span, a little bit less than 6 months. So I understand what it does to a body. At the same time, if I'm paying a ticket or if I am, tuning into a game on Thursday night, I want to see the players play. So I get both sides of it. Honestly, there's no resolution to this because either way it goes, it's going to be tough. Like, it's going to be very difficult. I don't think there's a solution in sight.
And you mentioned playing on a say it's a TNT game and it's the Lakers and the Clippers and Kawhi's played 5 out of 6 games over the last 7 days and it's a nationally televised game and you've got this $15 billion TV contract. I wonder if they would be looked at more. I wonder if a player decided to miss that game as opposed to a game against the Memphis Grizzlies at home or something like that, if there would be a more harsher punishment considering how many eyes are actually watching that game. I want to talk about the Golden State Warriors. Is the fall from grace from being a dynasty to being 2-12 with Draymond Green, no Klay Thompson, no Steph Curry, no Kevin Durant. Do you think that they are done? Or, have you ever seen a fall from grace this dramatic, this fast before in the NBA, Jameson?
Oh, yeah. It happens. Like, whenever someone goes on a run of 5 years, the end game is never good. Remember, the Bulls of the 90s, they're, once everybody left and retired and got traded, they were picked in the lottery. They had the number 2 pick in the draft the following year. So that's just kind of how it goes. Like, once you have a long run, in the NBA, it's very tough to have a good team for more than 3 or 4 years because you're going to the playoffs basically playing 100 games in 7 months. It's very difficult to do. Like, it's very, very hard on the body time and time again. You're taking everyone's best shot for all the years. And the Warriors run went, they've made the playoffs 7 straight years, and they had long seasons, and the way they played is very, very difficult to sustain, and they had some crazy injuries. So this is not surprising. The injuries, how it ended is a little bit different. They've had catastrophic injuries. Klay tearing his ACL, Steph with injuries had this season. But at the same time, this is a blessing in disguise for them. They're going to get a top 5 pick, and they're either going to trade and get somebody for it, or they're going to draft Wiseman or whomever is available, Anthony Edwards, whomever, and get back right into the thick of things. So they're in good shape going forward. It's just this year, it's one of those, it's a mulligan. It happens. No one will remember it. No one's going to remember it in the grand scheme if they get right back in the thick of things. It's not going to happen.
So, Jameson, I have to ask you a quick question because myself and Brian Shapiro went back and forth on this going back to the Lakers. Dwight Howard, has had a tremendously long career. He's been productive on the court. Now, we understand he's been someone who's an enigma off the court, and to be quite frank, he's been looked at as a locker room killer, someone who is, has not exactly been the greatest teammate, let's put it that way. But I posted the poll on Twitter as to whether or not he is a Hall of Famer. Brian believes that he's not a Hall of Fame player. Myself, I believe that. I think it's a crazy question to think that he's not a Hall of Famer. So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. What do you think about D12, and do you think he's headed to Springfield?
All right, so Dwight Howard is not only the Hall of Famer, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. He's been a 8-time All-Star, so anyone who's made, I don't know if anyone who's eligible has made 8 All-Stars and has not gotten in. That's the first thing. 5 All-NBA team guy. He's a situation where he's going to be on that team. Like, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. That's just how it goes. There's nothing.
I'll respond to that. I'll respond to that
and he's going to be a first ballot. That's what it is.
Okay, I'll respond to that by saying this. These are 2 different questions. Is he going to be in the Hall of Fame, or do you believe he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Now, there are certain people. Yeah, well, hold on. I'm gonna pull back on you on that one. If you look at just stats alone, I completely agree with you. Yes, that is a Hall of Fame career. But a man that has personally gotten coaches fired, for a man that is arguably one of the softest big men in the history of the league, and I know you're going to talk about some of the numbers he had with the rebounds he was averaging and that sort of thing, for a man that's never won a ring, and I know none of these things you have to be in the Hall of Fame. I understand that. I believe he's a crybaby. I believe in many instances he's been a cancer in the locker room to his teams, and maybe he's in the later stages of a career and he'll do a great job with the Lakers, and maybe he will win a championship. But I'm just, listen, you can go back and you can look at certain baseball players that may or may not have cheated, and they're not going to be in the Hall of Fame. You look at Pete Rose because of the gambling issues. I'm just saying there are other circumstances that can be equated into being into the Hall of Fame, and it doesn't necessarily only have to be about stats. It could be about things off the field that you've done, and in my personal opinion, and that's fine if you guys disagree with me, I think the way he has conducted himself, he hasn't broken the law. He's not a rapist. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that he has been a cancer in the locker room. He is a crybaby. He is responsible for many coaches, some very respected coaches like Stan Van Gundy, of being fired. That's not a guy that I think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and that has nothing to do with his stats and everything to do with the things he does off the basketball court.
What you mean what the Hall of Fame means from a...
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But Jameson, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is my perspective, Brian, on what you just said there. There's also people that are in the Hall of Fame, okay, that have the same aspects that Dwight Howard has.
And
off
I
the
don't
court,
agree
like
with
you're
those
talking
either.
about.
And I
well,
don't
they're in
agree
the Hall
with
of Fame.
and I don't agree with those either.
My point is, it's not just about stats.
By that logic, then MJ's not a Hall of Famer. Because
Michael Jordan,
he wasn't the best. He wasn't the
No.
best off the court.
Excuse me. Hold on a second. Michael Jordan, without question,
Obviously.
made his
Yes.
teammates. Made his teammates better. That is an unbelievable quality to have. I do not believe that Dwight Howard has ever made his teammates better. I believe he's extremely selfish. That's number one. Number two, I also believe when if you're going to compare the two, just from practices and getting coaches fired. I mean, Michael Jordan did a pretty good job working with Phil Jackson. I'm not sure Michael Jordan is responsible for getting any coaches fired. He made his. That's a different circumstance in
That's
my
why
person.
I like you, Jameson.
That he might have been partially responsible for getting Doug Collins, but that's after he retired. That's not when he was in his prime.
No, bring it back.
No way.
He retired and then he came back.
No, Doug Collins in the 80s got fired, and part of that was because of Michael. So let's not just.
Are you talking
Michael's
about when he was playing for the Wizards?
Bulls. No, Michael Jordan was playing for the Bulls.
You're going
and
back.
he got Doug Collins fired from being the head coach of the Bulls.
Then why would he allow Doug Collins to coach the team when he was with the Washington Wizards?
Because he felt bad about it. That's why. That's why.
All right, if you say so. I don't know if I believe that.
Jameson, 2 questions about this year. Who is your MVP?
Well, wait, you just want to end that? You don't want to let Jameson respond?
Jameson, he did. He said he felt bad about it. That's why.
About what I said about Dwight Howard.
Off the court. I mean, if for a guy who's never been arrested or anything of that situation, if we're just talking about personalities and whatnot, that's a tough thing because a lot of guys, they don't have the best personalities, but they're great players. Yep. Dwight has made a lot of guys better. He played in a small market, so we didn't get to see him play 40 times a season when he was in Orlando. Remember, in Orlando, they were still considered a small market.
Why has he never won a championship?
He went up against the wrong guys at the wrong time.
Yep.
He went up against prime Kobe and Gasol.
Mm-hmm. Well,
the Celtics, who were very good in 08, 09, 2010.
And you could argue that.
Brian, there's been plenty of great NBA players that didn't win a championship.
I'm giving you several different
reasons. You ask a loaded question like that.
Reason.
Why didn't he win?
Why didn't Karl Malone win a championship?
Why didn't Karl Malone and John Stockton, two superstars?
I'll answer that.
Obviously, when he was in Orlando,
I'll give
what
you
other Hall of Famer did he play with?
I will
first ballot.
I will. Well, let me answer their question about Karl Malone and John Stockton. I do believe, even though they were going up against some of the best legends and the best dynasties, I think they underachieved to this extent. I think they could have gotten at least one championship. They didn't have a ton of help on those teams in Utah.
I think Jeff Hornacek.
But when you have Utah,
Brian Russell's great.
When you have Karl Malone and you have John Stockton, who arguably one of the best point guards of all time. I think you can make am I saying they don't deserve to be Hall of Famers? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that.
No, but why is Stockton one of the best of all time? Because his stats were so gaudy for an extended period. One, steals, assists and steals, but he was
ferocious.
He wasn't a dominating physical presence, which is basically required, I believe, to win a championship.
Most point guards are not dominating physical presences.
But he's.
Is Rajon Rondo a dominating physical presence? He won a championship.
Rajon Rondo had a lot more talent around him than John Stockton did. Stockton only had Malone.
You just said a physical presence. I don't think most point guards need to be a ferocious physical.
He would need to be. Now Dwight Howard, you could argue, was the best athlete at his position for about a decade.
Did Dwight Howard ever cheat? Did he ever take steroids?
Do you remember the dunk contest
No,
where he was wearing the Superman outfit, and he had like a 42-inch vertical at 6'10". I mean, that's
you guys don't think
position.
Dwight Howard is one of the softest big men around?
I think he's soft, but I think Jameson. I think you'd agree with me, right, Jameson? You think Brian Shapiro doesn't think Dwight Howard should be in the Hall of Fame because of his attitude, right?
That's not only it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's not it.
That's not it. Your entire reasoning behind Dwight Howard not being Hall of Famer is because of you call him a coach killer, and you think in his attitude and his approach.
He's got one coach fired. There's guys that have gotten multiple. I mean, hell, what do you feel about Darren Williams?
Exactly.
All right. Well, listen. All right. We'll won't beat a dead horse.
Another guy that comes to my mind, right? Jameson is a guy like Derek. Look, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Is Derek Coleman a Hall of Famer? But I think of Derek Coleman.
Well,
same type of thing.
We'll agree to disagree. I don't think there's any more to be said there. Jameson, a lot of players, what did you make of the whole Kawhi Leonard situation where these guys are sitting out? Do you think it sets a bad precedence for the league? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this really depends on the situation. I mean, he's actually hurt. Like, if you look at him walk, you look at him play, you can tell he's not 100%. Like, it shows that he's not 100%. Like, it's obvious. However, the load management thing, again, there's no right or wrong answer because every situation is different. Teams have more information than ever before, and how many games should a body go through a certain amount of time? When should a guy take a rest? Like, they have all that information now that they never had before. So when you make big investments like they've done within players, then you're going to use all the information possible to make a decision. So I get their side of it, but as a casual fan, I'd be upset too because if you save up money to go to a game, the star player isn't playing,
right,
and your 11-year-old kid wants to see the star player play, that's an unfortunate thing, especially when you don't find out until 3 hours before the game.
Yeah, Jameson,
that's
can't there be? Jameson,
I agree.
Jameson, can't there be a compromise? And what I mean by that is this: if a guy isn't 100%, put him out there, start him, play him 4 or 5 minutes. If you don't play him the rest of the game, fine. But I think at least let him be in the layup line. At least let a kid see him play for a few minutes.
So how long was Kevin Durant in the game when he got hurt in the playoffs, Brian?
Completely different circumstance. Completely different circumstance. They put him in there way too early.
I think it was 3 to 4
and
minutes.
that was also the playoffs. Completely different circumstance than regular season
Tua
basketball.
Tagovailoa, do you think he has the Bo Jackson injury on his hip if he's healthy?
No, because Bo had actually hurt the hip before that fatal injury.
Right.
The injury that ended him was just the icing on the cake. He had already injured the hip. He had just kept on playing on it. Plus, medical technology is way different than it was 20-some-odd years ago. So it's a different situation. However, I would not be the number one pick on him. I mean, hip injuries are worse than
knee.
No
chance.
At least a knee, you can kind of rehab with that. Hip is a hip, man. He's already a small guy. He's not as fast as you would think he would be. That's a rough pick. Whoever takes him is taking a big risk. The only issue is this. The quarterbacks that are draft eligible in college, I'm not really so sold on for the next level. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, there's a lot of guys that are like Fromm and Burrow has a hell of a season, but I don't know if he's going to be great in the NFL. Like, I'm not so sure.
Jameson, we only got about a minute here left to go. I always appreciate it when you take some time to join us. Wish we had some more time, actually, but I want to give you a chance to plug where people can find you on social media. Where can they find your work, my friend, and where can people hear you?
Well, on Twitter at @VJameson. On your show, hopefully once a week or more going forward. We've got a time locked down. ESPN 1100 in the city as well. Drive Time Sports, 750 in Utah, 1340 Fox Sports in New Mexico, and ESPN 1480 in Nebraska.
All right, Jameson, you're a busy guy. Yes, and by the way, I do want to nail that down with you. I do want you to come on our show weekly, especially during the basketball season. Jameson, it's always...
Can you make it in studio next time, Jameson?
I see what I can do. We can make that work.
Perfect.
Cool.
Perfect.
Jameson, it's always a pleasure to have you in.
Thanks, buddy.
Have you on. You know that.
You guys.
And we appreciate it.
Man.
Thanks, Jameson.
Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Jameson Welsh from Drive Time Sports joining us. Wow.
He agrees with me, Dwight Howard. Shap.
Well, I know. That's
there
fine.
He is.
That's fine.
If you look
although
at
I will say the poll agreed with you.
Just
I ran the poll.
Just
on Twitter,
the problem with
and
Howard
they were on
is
Shapiro's side on this.
He has not had a great last 5 to 6 years.
Well, listen.
Well, no. Absolutely
we got a break. I will agree with you only if you continue to take your shirt off at UNLV football games.
I think that's fair.
All right, we're going to take a 21-hour break. Chris, always a pleasure to have you in studio. Thank you.
Sir.
We're going to take a 21-hour break. Sean Hannity coming up next, folks. Have a great day.
Here's the latest from Newsmax. President Trump is surging in the polls.